Good morning, Tradeify Nation, and welcome to another edition of Tradeify TV. It is Friday, May 30th, 2025. It is 60 minutes before the New York Open, which means it's time for us to get you ready for your trading day, which in the last about 25, 30 minutes has taken a whole new meaning to it. Joining me, as always, of course, my amazing we'll call you the co-star today because you're dressed like a star today. So we'll we'll call you the co-star today. But my goodness, Miriam, you came on. We were talking. We were figuring out. Okay, before our guest comes on today, what are we going to talk about? And ask and ye shall receive. Boy, what an interesting last 30 minutes we've seen on the charts.
Right. Yeah. Good morning, everyone. Yeah, we've definitely seen some interesting moves in the last, yesterday we had a great move to the downside. We caught a nice short. If you guys were here with us yesterday, you definitely saw that happen. And yeah, we've just been, it was funny because you were mentioning how, it was kind of a boring overnight session. Mm-hmm. And then, we just get this move to the downside. So today's going to be interesting, guys. Today's going to be fun. We definitely have some things in store for you guys today. Before we get into the markets, happy Friday to everyone today. Some people like to call it Full Port Friday. I like to call it Freaky Friday because you really just never know what you're going to expect, right? And as you can see today, we're moving quite violently in the overnight session here. But before we get into that, we have a guest coming on with us today. We have Antonio Russo. He's going to be joining us a little bit later today. He's going to be talking about his trading strategy. We've just had a great lineup of guests this week, so we want to keep that ball rolling. We want to end the week on a high note. So we got that going on today, but Matt, why don't you kind of walk us through what happened?
Well, okay. So basically, about 10 after 8 o'clock on the East Coast, we got a tweet, a truth, whatever. The platforms don't matter. It's a statement from the president. So basically, I'll just read the first couple sentences and the last couple sentences. It says, 2 weeks ago, China was in grave economic danger. The very high tariffs, I said, made it virtually impossible for China to trade into the United States marketplace, which is by far number one in the world. Jump down to the end. The bad news is that China, perhaps not surprisingly, has totally, and let's get into caps here, has totally violated its agreement with the U.S. So much for being Mr. Nice Guy. Now, as you see, we're now rebounding quite a bit here, almost giving that up. So the bad news is Trump is obviously pissed at China, right? For whatever reason. We didn't really see anything that precipitated this. This kind of came out of nowhere. But I think what the markets are realizing now is that, okay, he's obviously a little upset, but didn't really announce anything, right? Like didn't come back with higher tariffs or slap the, 145% tariffs back on. Interestingly enough, there's been a lot of statements from the U.S. and a lot of, whether from the president, actually I said it was entertaining. U.S. Trade Representative Greer was live on CNBC when this came out and had no clue what was going on. So, props on him, I guess, for pivoting on the spot. But did at least the snippets I saw from the interview I was watching, he looked like a deer in headlights. But anyway, so obviously Trump announces displeasure, but doesn't really, at least thus far. And I'm waiting for the newsfeed to publish his public schedule for the day, as they usually do. But I imagine if he's going to Mar-a-Lago or going to New Jersey at some point, he usually leaves Friday morning, Friday afternoon to go to one of his golf clubs. So that's when he usually talks to the press. So they're going to ask him about this. So we need to kind of keep our eyes and ears open, reduce your position sizes. I was mentioning to Miriam, our 5-minute ATR on the NQ before this started was below 15. It was closer to 13, which is very low, but not unsurprising for the pre-market. It should be at or above 40 by the time the New York market opens here in about just under an hour now. So, boy, Miriam, I think sometime before our guest comes on, maybe we'll do a little bigger breakdown of some of the tariffs and how the markets are reacting. This is one of those things, though, where listen, we're unfortunately at a point where politics has kind of infested every part of our lives, and everybody has, very strong opinions on everything. But you have to leave your personal political preferences out of your trading and out of the market, right? If you assume everything Trump does is good or everything Trump does is bad, and you trade accordingly, you're going to get dinged. And it's another one of those, Miriam. We talk about compartmentalizing our emotions. when it comes to trading. But when it comes to personal beliefs, political beliefs, whatever, you have to compartmentalize those as well, and you just have to trade based on the charts.
Absolutely. Yeah. It's so important to just, like you said, set aside your opinions. I mean, it's not going to serve you any purpose to, feel a certain way towards Trump or, try to trade the market based off your opinions like that. And, for me, it's more about reacting to what's going on. I don't care who is, necessarily president right now as a trader, because I'm just looking to take a trade and react to what the market is doing. So for me, headline risk is definitely a huge factor in 2025. Obviously, if you were trading this pre-market session, you're definitely who know if you were long, you definitely got stopped out on that move to the downside, which I think for me kind of speaks to the importance of setting stop orders in your trades, because we are susceptible to that headline risk. So for me, it's all about just making sure that you have a plan. You write down what you're going to trade for today. I had my plan going into this market, and now we talked about agility. We talked about being nimble on yesterday's stream. If you guys didn't watch that, go back and watch it. We interviewed Brian Stonks, and he talks about he often goes into the market with an idea, but that idea can change for him depending on how the market is moving. And so we talked about this idea of being nimble and being able to switch into different positions if you need to, right? And not be tied or tethered to a certain idea just because you like it, right? The market can do whatever the market wants to do, and so you just have to be ready to react to what it is presenting to you. So for today, what are we looking at from like a macro standpoint? I know you like to look at the 4-hour chart. So now that we've made this move, what are you looking at, Matt?
Well, unfortunately, the 4-hour chart doesn't show a whole lot based on this particular candle. And the way I have my 4-hour chart set up, this candle will close about 30 minutes after the open. And then we have what I refer to as the high volume candle, which is the 10 to 2 Eastern candle. It was sort of, let's find it yesterday. It was this little beauty yesterday where we kind of confirmed the move right back down below the 21,550, 21,500 level. And so for me, that's always, I give a little more weight to that candle, literally and figuratively, because it's in almost every given day, it's the highest volume candle. So the fact that it's a pretty bearish candle, I would say, boy, again, Miriam, we talk about, this was, if a tree falls in the forest and nobody's there to hear it, does it make a sound? If we crack through resistance, on heavy volume, but within 3 candles or right back below, does it even count? And for me, no, right? Like this was just a whisper in the wind, as it were. We had some opportunities on the upside, opportunities on the downside in the overnight session, and then we just cracked right below back into this zone. So for all of the noise we've seen in the last 48 to 72 hours, we're really, if and I'll take some liberties here to extend this, we're right kind of back bouncing off the midpoint of this prior zone of consolidation, which we've been in for a couple of weeks. The other point I want to make, guys, is we, as technical traders, we're not always concerned with what the news is so much as how the market reacts to it. But there was 30 seconds, well, it depends on what sort of news feed or where you get your news, but 30 seconds to a couple of minutes where the markets are pushing down very strongly. I don't know where it happened as you and I were watching, and for about a minute, we didn't know what was going on until my news feed popped up the Trump True Social post. And guys, it just goes to show you, I do think we are in an era now where having, if you're a day trader, and especially if you're trading the indexes, having some sort of news feed, and you can, curate a Twitter feed, and do it for free. I use a company called the Trade Exchange, and I have no affiliation or business relationship with them, and neither does Tradeify to my knowledge. So I'm just saying that's who I use. And, some are as low as $20, $30 a month. Some are a little more expensive. You can go the Bloomberg route, which is, of course, very expensive. But having some sort of news feed or just being aware of what's going on, I think is very important in this market environment, because we get a lot of big moves, sometimes that have nothing behind them. And to know what's behind a move and the probabilities of that move either extending or continuing is very, very important. So I don't know what you use or if you what you follow on that, but I think we're in an era where that's very, very important to have.
Yeah, it's not just important, but it's pretty accessible. I mean, you can get some free resources as well if you follow some Twitter streams, for example, or Twitter pages. That alone, I mean, you can get quick access to what's going on in the news. That's something I use. I also use Benzinga. I mean, that's, we're not affiliated, obviously, but it's picking what works for you, and knowing that in this realm that we're in, there's so many free resources out there. So yeah, absolutely have some idea of what's going on, and even if it is like waking up every morning and listening to a quick news podcast. I like NPR. NPR News is something that I wake up to, or have been trying to wake up to more recently, and just getting an idea of and feel of the market. So I want to know too. We threw up a poll. I don't know if you guys saw that, but I want to know what your outlook is looking like today. Are you bullish? Are you bearish? Do you think we're going to move sideways? Do you think the market's just going to take out this whole move and run back up and clear yesterday's highs? I mean, how are you feeling today? How are you guys going into this market today? We want to know.
Yeah, and I think this is one of those situations. I'm just gonna. I answered the poll, actually. I said sideways for now, because I don't think the markets quite know. Again, that I feel like we're waiting for the other shoe to drop now, right? Like we got part one, right? We know Trump is upset about this whole situation, and very rarely does he not do something with that. Now, again, it is Friday. He, like a lot of presidents, he spends weekends away from the White House, so he will probably fly somewhere in the next couple of hours later today. They haven't put his public schedule out yet. But at some point, he's going to be in front of microphones today, and this is too big. Somebody's going to ask him, like, what's going on? What are you going to do? And what he says there, if he articulates a firm, policy position, whether it's tariffs or whatever. I will tell you this, Miriam. I am starting to have flashbacks to December of 2018. And for those that weren't trading at that point, it was President Trump's first term. The market spent about 3 to 4 months really adjusting to his presidency and his style. By the end of 2018, it had been a very good year. Things were looking up. And to this day, I don't actually remember what started this, but we got into a very big public pissing match with China. Same two leaders, Trump and Xi, right? And it was, there were some tariffs, there was some back and forth. The whole thing only lasted about 3 weeks before they essentially agreed to just go back to the way things were. But we gave up the entire year's gains in those 3 weeks. And it was some of the highest volatility trading I've ever dealt with. Again, I remember when all this tariff stuff first started, there was, and I really wish I could remember this gentleman's name. He was, and I don't even remember what channel it was on, but he had a pretty, at least in my opinion, articulate position in that, listen, guys, the tariffs on countries can't, okay, that sucks. That's all fine and good. There's going to be people happy, not happy, whatever. China is the ballgame, because of what we do over there and how intricately our economy is tied with theirs, both from them owning a lot of treasury debt to all the major tech companies that manufacture over there. China is the ball game. So all this other stuff is peanuts compared to what goes on with China. And if China just decides, again, I use the term benefit very, very loosely, but the benefit of their president is in control of the entire political apparatus over there. He doesn't answer to voters. He doesn't answer to people. They're communists, right? So it's the state. So they can operate from a position of strength there. So I don't know what's going to happen. I would be very surprised if this is just a drop in the bucket today and we don't hear a follow-up, either from the president or one of his trade representatives. I know, obviously, Greer was on CNBC. Navarro flaps his gums all the time. I expect to see him at some point. So it's going to be interesting to see. Guys, protect your capital today. Reduce your position sizes, because I do think there is a very high probability. I'm not going to say 100% because nothing is 100% in the markets, but I think there's a 75, 80, 90% that we're going to get some sort of follow-up to this, whether it's just Trump eventually saying, well, that's just a warning and nothing's changing, or, yeah, you thought those tariffs before were bad. Watch what's coming. So I don't know. It seems like some of the tech sector had had Trump's ear over the course of the past couple of weeks as he's kind of backed off some of the China stuff. But if this goes full bore with China again, it's going to be a rough go of it for the bulls.
Yeah, and I didn't trade back in 2018, so this is a new experience for me. But I did definitely trade during his presidency, and just seeing the volatility of everything going on. It's kind of opened my eyes to different types of markets. And again, like protecting your capital on moves like this or on days like this, especially Fridays. I think for me, one of the things that I realized as a trader, there are certain times and certain days that really work well for me. And that's just come from journaling, right? I've back tested, I've analyzed what works for me, and regardless of who's president, right? These are the sort of patterns that I've recognized for myself. And for me, I know just going into it that Fridays are days that I don't want to over leverage, right? Like I don't want to go into the markets feeling like, I have to make all this money on a Friday where, we're about to go into a 2-day weekend. And now I'm down on the week because I over leveraged my Friday. That's the worst way to start your weekend, guys. So not just for the sake of your account, but for the sake of your mental, your mentality during the weekend. You want to unwind, you want to spend time with friends. You don't want your significant others or whoever that's around you to spend the time with you on the weekend to just, feel that energy from you. So just make sure that you are positioned adequately if you do decide to trade. Fridays are interesting days for me because, we sometimes do tend to get these moves, but a lot of times I am a little bit hands off, or I like to be, just so I can find that really good A+ setup. Again, just so I'm not entering the weekend on a bad note. And, for me, I'm up on the week, so I don't necessarily have to put on size, right? That's something else to consider is you had a really great week. There's no reason to go in full port Friday, as everyone would say, right? It's just one of those where you can easily take out your week's gains if you're not careful. And that's why Fridays, I really advise everyone to be extra careful on Fridays. But going back into this, I just kind of want to go over this because we have about, a little bit less than an hour here before the markets open. If we can go to my charts here. So if we're looking at the charts on NASDAQ, this is a 3-hour chart. And you guys can see this was yesterday's move here. So we had this massive move to the downside and we just kind of trickled to the downside, throughout the day. We never actually, went back and tested any of these highs. So the initial move was made in the morning. And as you can see, this was actually a trade we took yesterday of the break of this trend line. We took it pretty early in the morning. And then, throughout the whole day, we just kind of chopped around. But now, we got this move that actually broke this second trend line, which is a stronger trend line that I have. We are holding it technically on the 3-hour chart here. But this is something that I am kind of looking for to see how we respect this trend line and how we respect, I think this was Tuesday. So Tuesday, we also took this trade on Tuesday, which was the low of this candle. I want to see how we respect Tuesday's lows as well, because this would essentially be the next area of support that I see up until, about the 145 and then, possibly down past 100. This demand zone that I have as well on the 1 hour is sitting around 20,990, so about 21,000. So we could potentially see that today. Now, I would expect for us, if we do see that, to bounce around this level. Again, this is a 1-hour zone that I have. So this is kind of what I'm looking for. If we do get this continuation to the downside, the next level I would see is testing Tuesday's lows, and then possibly, if we go down further than that, testing this demand zone down here at 21,000. Now, for the upside, I would expect, obviously, if we hold this trend line here, making a move back up above the 21,400 level, and then above 21,475, and then 500 would be that like psych level that I look for, and then possibly, around this area, we're sitting at the trend line here at the 21,700. But, for me, I would, expect us to retest yesterday's highs. Yesterday's highs are sitting at 21,692. And then, from there, we have obviously the high of the tariff news that we got in the aftermarket, the Asia market on Wednesday. So, this is kind of what I'm looking for on both ends here. Right now, we are still, continuing down to the downside. Now, I trade on the 5-minute, so I look at the 5-minute chart. And technically this is still looking bearish to me. We did kind of, get back up, and obviously we tested this 50% retracement of these two candles here, but right now we're still kind of respecting the downside. We're moving back down, and we could potentially go back and test the 300 level, and then the 220s. So we'll see. We're just gonna wait patiently. I want to see what the first 15 minutes is gonna show us, and then kind of go from there.
Absolutely. Going back to your point on trading on Fridays, first of all, keep in mind, guys, it's the last day of the week. It's also the last trading day of May,
Mm.
right? So
Mhm.
we are a little over a month from now, actually right about a month from now, we are going to be halfway through calendar 2025, right? We're going to be, maybe we'll do something special in one of those shows, talk about kind of how we review months, quarters, whatever. I can tell you this from my end of the year analysis, something I do every single year. In calendar 2024, so the 12 months that I traded in 2024, I averaged 2.7 trades per day, Monday through Thursday. I averaged 1.2 on Fridays. And that's because more often than not every Friday, but most Fridays, I'm coming in green. And I want to protect that. If you're coming off a good month and you want to protect that, that's okay. The whole complexion of the markets got changed about 10 minutes after the top of the hour. So, giving the markets time to kind of settle in is fine. Also, feel free, guys, take your hand off the mouse, sit back, relax, enjoy the show, and let everything kind of play out over the first 10, 15, maybe even 30 minutes of the New York session. And I think we'll be getting a little clarity at that point. Miriam, we have in about a little under a half hour now, we have a guest joining us. Why don't you tell everyone who it is?
Yeah, so we have Antonio Russo, who's going to be joining us today. He is also a futures trader. He's going to talk about his strategy. From what I understand, Brett also trades this strategy. So we're going to get some insight on what that looks like. We may give away a little some to you guys. So make sure that you are staying on, because this is not going to be announced anywhere else other than this stream. So make sure you hit that like button. Make sure you subscribe, that when we are coming on live in the future. And if you haven't seen the previous episodes, I highly, highly encourage you guys to go back and watch those, especially this week. We had such an amazing cast of guests. We had such great knowledge, all about psychology. These guests have had such great experience trading. And so, I might even go back and actually look at them again, because it was a flood of knowledge that they provided, and each one was slightly different in their trading techniques. I mean, actually they were all very different in their trading techniques, but the message was generally the same, in that being a good trader, it was from their lens. It was interesting hearing their side of how they became the traders that they became, even though they all have different strategies. So it just kind of goes to show that you can be someone who's not trading the same as someone else, and still be very successful, just based off how you're disciplined. And I thought it was interesting too, Brian. I really like what Brian had on his charts yesterday. He had a discipline, resilience, and then there was something else that I think it was patience. But it was really cool, the ways that traders remind themselves how to stay disciplined, and make sure that they're not blowing their accounts. They're in it for the long haul. So we definitely have more guests for you guys planned on this stream as well in the future. So make sure that, again, you guys are subscribed and you like this channel. We really appreciate you all for being here with us super early in the morning. I'm on the West Coast, guys, so it's barely cracking.
Yeah, y'all got no excuses if she's here all ready to go.
Yeah.
So, Miriam, I've taken so much away from our guests last 3 days, but the most important thing I took away from Brian Stonk yesterday is reminding me what a freaking moron I was at 23 years old, because to say I didn't have my shit together would be putting it mildly. And here's this guy just tearing it up. So good for him. Hopefully he's got a good, long, profitable career ahead of him. And I'm sure we will talk to him again at some point. So it says, so we are going to give away some advanced and growth accounts today. So we're going to need you to get some likes in that chat. I would really like to see those likes back up to the 500 area. It's going to take us a little bit to get there, but like us, get in your trading Discord, say, hey, we got this fantastic show going on over here, Tradeify TV. and help us spread the word. Yeah, we'll put I saw some people asking for our socials. We'll get those in the chat at some point as well. It is Friday, which means I will probably be doing a Twitter live later, Front Porch Friday, as I call it. So we'll see how that goes. I don't know if it's supposed to rain here later today. I forgot to check the weather this morning. But it's a short porch, so I might have to Front Porch Friday. May have to be just inside the front porch. But yeah, we'll make sure and get that in. You can follow us on Twitter. At least for me, that's the most effective way of me communicating with you outside of this show. But yeah, guys, it's been a fantastic week. We have another amazing show in store for you today. What was a very boring pre-market changed. That's probably going to give us some really quality setups as the markets progress. So guys, let's strap in, settle in, and let's get ready to go.
Absolutely. So what are we? What about, I know we kind of talk a lot about NASDAQ and, ES here. What can you walk us through what's going on the gold side and oil? I know some of our members here also, our chat members here, trade those.
Yeah, so we're on the gold 4-hour chart. This is what we've been looking at all week. We've really been nibbling at the top end of this I don't know, you want to call it a pennant flag, whatever. I mean, there's but definitely sort of this channel that's sort of running into each other, and we've been nibbling at the top of it for quite some time. In fact, we haven't tested the bottom for a couple of weeks. So for me, I actually would be looking for a gold breakout at about the 3350 level. So one of those situations, sometimes gold is a little bit ahead of the curve, sometimes it's behind. So just one of those situations, if you're feeling bearish on the markets and things really start to crack lower, but maybe you miss your entry, gold could be a way, playing long in gold could be a way to essentially, again, short the markets in a roundabout way. It's not always as nice and neat as it used to be. Gold used to just go up as the markets went down and vice versa. It was a really nice hedge, right? It was a really nice, kind of counter trade to the markets. And we seem to be maybe settling a little back into that. I know a lot of our crypto enthusiasts will say Bitcoin and some of the major cryptos have kind of replaced gold, and the statistics show that may actually be partly correct. But gold is still one of the most widely traded assets out there, and it's always something we're going to pay attention to. Again, for me, the area of concern here is on the Russell. Right, the Russell. Again, yesterday we really moved very, very in lockstep with the markets, and the Russell often will when it's big macro things like this. But to me, if we hold in the NQ and the ES at the open, so let's say we end up just kind of hovering about where we are now, 1/3 to 0.5% lower, but the Russell starts cracking through the lows, that may be a little bit of a harbinger, a little canary in the coal mine that the broader markets will follow. Remember, the Russell 2000 is large and mid cap stocks. It's where the market goes when they have a strong appetite for risk, and consequently, when they don't have a strong appetite for risk, they're going to be moving out of the small and the mid caps. We saw a little bit. If you were paying really close attention to the Russell, it gave us a little bit of a clue to some of what was coming right after the inauguration and the initial tariff discussion. So it's something we're always going to keep an eye on. As far as oil, I think I see on Twitter our buddy Gandalf is long oil, I think. And actually, I still, let's see where this candle goes. But as long as we keep above the 59.80 level, the midpoint of this zone, I would remain, I would say, cautiously bullish. I do think we've been hovering way below 65 way too long, just from a macro standpoint. OPEC's not going to like that. I would anticipate over the summer they're going to spike prices back up above 65. I will be honest, oil's is probably one of the few futures that I feel comfortable swing trading, and I'm talking 3 to 5 micros overnight. I'm not going to go in 4 or 5 minis or anything like that anywhere near my normal position size. I haven't done that for a few weeks, but basically that's one of the things that I look at. But it has not traded. It's not been the best trader over the course of the past couple of months. So, yeah, just a little bit of a look on the 4-hour at some other assets. But I think the main event today is going to be the ES and the NQ. I think we're going to get some fantastic movement, and I'm really looking forward to that.
Yeah. And one thing I also look for, thank you, by the way, for that analysis on gold and oil. I think when we look at the NASDAQ and ES here, one of the things that I really like to see is how closely in sync they are with each other. When we're looking to trade, for me, I mostly trade the NASDAQ, but there are some days that I'm looking at ES as a stronger contendant because, if one of them is looking stronger than the other, that could be a sympathy play for a lot of other companies in the tech side that might be moving to the upside. So if I'm looking to be bullish, I might be trading Nasdaq if it looks stronger than ES, and vice versa. But the thing is too, each of them work, they share a lot of the same companies, right? So you definitely want to see how well they're working with each other on these moves. And right now, if I'm looking at the 5-minute chart on both ES and Nasdaq, and so far they are both in sync with each other. As you can see, I do use VWAP, and I like to have the 9 EMAs sitting on my charts as well. They're both below VWAP, they're both below the 9 EMAs, and they're both below this trend line. So, I think it's nice when you're trading the Nasdaq or ES. If one of them has momentum, it typically pulls the other one with it, and that's something I like to see when I'm trading. If one of them is just sitting above VWAP, the other one has a ways to go to VWAP. Those are the sort of things I look for, that kind of give me the signal that I might just wait, or I might back off, or I might just trade the one that looks more appealing to me. I used to be a big options trader, which I still trade options, but I used to closely watch the ES because I used to trade SPX a lot. So that was one thing that I kind of got me into futures, was I was always observing Nasdaq and ES as I was trading options, because it really helped formulate a trade for me based off their movements. And so on days where I'm seeing Nasdaq not moving so much but ES is, I would kind of base my trades on that. So is that something you do, Matt, at all? Do you use both futures in conjunction with each other, or do you strictly look at Nasdaq when you're trading?
No, I will look across the board. And actually, one of the things I used to pay very close attention to a lot of the like the SPX and SPY options as well. I'll be honest, that's something I moved away from a little bit. I didn't know that it helped with my edge. It's actually something I'm probably going to start looking at again, just because I do, even if for me personally, it doesn't necessarily help with my edge. I think it could probably bring another aspect to some of the analysis that we do on this show. So basically just looking for some outliers in strike prices and expiration dates. If the big boys are layered in, where's the JP Morgan collar, all that kind of stuff. So yeah, it's just one of those things that you got to be careful. You got to be careful not to get paralysis by analysis. But yeah, any edge, I would say, outside of the actual chart. So I have my actual charts, my candlesticks, some of the VWAP, some of the various technicals that I look at. I would say I'm always evolving as far as some of those secondary indicators and things that I use. When I was a little more of an options trader, I was very reliant on option sweeps and some of the stuff that was there when that stuff was first coming out. Some of the technology was just becoming advanced enough to sort of detect with pretty good certainty some of the big boys making their slide plays through the markets with some of these option sweeps. But as often happens, the big boys just got better at hiding their activity. So what went from a 75 to 80% trade, which it was for a good 2 years back about 2017 to 2019, ended up being basically a coin flip after that. There can be some edges in finding where the big boys are positioned, but I've learned in options, the big money is very often the smart money. In futures, that's not always the case. Big money sometimes can get slapped around very, very hard just because of the number of algos and everything playing around. So I think you got to be very careful, but at the same time, constantly evolve the things that you're looking at as you go about your market analysis.
That's definitely something that didn't help me when I first started to trade. And one of the questions we got a couple days ago, I believe, was, how do you become more consistent? And honestly, for me, that was just removing all of the noise. I used to use every indicator in the book. I used RSI, MACD, VWAP, 9 EMA, everything you can think of. And my charts looked, it was chaotic. It was too much going on. But, for me, that was, in order for me to become more consistent, I really started not just to focus on using less indicators, but for me, it was really just focusing on one stock. And for me, that was at the time trading SPX. And, you start to kind of get a sense for how these movements happen in a particular indice or equity or whatever it is. And so, it's just one of those things. If you're having trouble with analysis paralysis, just remove all the noise, remove all of that, and just focus on one thing. You don't need all these indicators on there. So that is something that we're actually going to have a quiz here that's going to
Yep,
pop
quiz
up.
time. Hope y'all did your homework.
Y'all, yeah, you think you're off the hook for doing homework. We definitely got homework for you guys today, so make sure you're paying attention. All right, let's throw that quiz up here. All right. Quiz, daily quiz. If price breaks above a resistance zone on high volume, what's likely next? Go ahead and type in your answer in the chat. Immediate drop, pullback, then continuation, double top, or rejection wick. Ooh.
I got to get my vote in here. Well, so far, some pretty smart viewers.
You like it.
Although the caveat on this quiz should be, is there not a Trump tweet incoming, right? Because it literally it could be all four at that point.
Yeah, exactly. We were just talking about this. How, I mean, just the other day we got a question about are these 100-point candles over? Not quite. Not quite. Yeah, they're still here to stay for now, at least. But let's see what we got. So a lot of people are saying B. B is the answer. Pullback.
Now,
and then
this is one of those where I do think there's a right answer, but I'm not sure there's a wrong answer, if that makes sense.
Right.
It just, basic, pure. Are we ready to put the answer up there, guys? I know we got a guest coming on in a little bit, but yeah. So B is clearly like the most likely, right? But again, we've seen just about all of these. So all things being equal, B is I agree is the correct answer. But again, yeah, if this morning proves anything, it's that the markets can change with little to no warning. The volume has moved in. Our volume delta, guys, is going up and down kind of like crazy since the initial strong push down. So it's going to be very, very interesting to see where we open. But we're just a few minutes away from bringing our guest on. So I know we got some people asking about him in the chat. And any questions you guys have as we get ready to go, we'll take just a couple of questions before we move into our guest. We want to make sure we give him ample time to talk a little bit about what he does before the market's open, because once the market's open, we lock in and get stuff done.
That's right. Well, it's funny that we're talking about some of these answers too, because we literally had that move yesterday in the Asia session that had 0 pullbacks. So we got definitely got some volume to the upside and no pullbacks. Ended up taking out that whole move yesterday, but it's just funny how we're really in the market for anything can and will happen. But yeah, definitely have your questions ready. And if you have any questions for our guest as well, make sure you have those ready for him. He's going to be on with us talking the knowledge, and he's made some very impressive trades in his career. So we're going to go over a lot of that as well. So if there's anything you guys want to know, make sure you drop it in the chat when he comes on.
Yeah, absolutely. I also want to hear in the chat, guys, who's how are you doing for the week? Are you green for the week, red for the week? You passed an eval, you took a payout, you failed something, you did this. Tell me how you're doing so far this week.
Yeah.
Oh, we do have a question. Do you have your matcha today?
You already know.
Okay.
I like to have my, I'm kind of a snob when it comes to what I also drink my things in. So I like to have my fun, crazy little cups here. I got these off Amazon if anyone's curious, but it just makes it taste better. And I feel like if you have something that is presented nicely to you, whether it's a nice cup or a nice plate or whatever, it just tastes so much better. So I know everyone thinks it tastes like grass, but I swear you just haven't tasted the good stuff yet.
Absolutely. So Miriam, what are some key levels you're looking at now that we've settled in a little bit in the last about, let's see, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 candles have been, I hate to use the term normal, but I'm going to do it anyway. So now, what are you looking at specifically in any of your trend lines? Is there anything like within the first half hour you're going to be saying, yeah, a break here, I'm interested?
Yeah, I mean, for me, again, it's really I'm a huge trendline trader. I took a trendline break trade yesterday, if you guys saw that. I mean, I've kind of been taking trendline trades recently on the stream here, but this trendline for me was a significant trendline that I was actually hoping we didn't break in the pre-market, which we ended up breaking. We are still respecting it to the downside here. As you can see, every single time we would come back and retest it, we would continue further down. But this is something that I still have on watch. So I want to see how well we're going to be respecting this trend line. And let me zoom out so you guys can see exactly what I'm looking for here. I'm going to actually go back to the daily chart. This is where I'm getting this trend line. This is a very strong trend line on the NASDAQ. So, this is something that, as you can see, so when I look at trend lines, the higher the time frame the trend line, the stronger it is. So the stronger it's going to react. So for me, this is a daily trend line. As you can see, we got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and now 6 touches on it. So if I go back to the 5-minute here, again, we are just still respecting this. So what I want to see is how well we're going to continue either below or above this trend line. Right now, it's not looking too hot for the bulls. So what I would be looking for is, if we continue further, I want to see how we're going to respect this 280 level and then potentially fill this wick here. People call it different things. This is kind of a play that some people can take similar to a gap play. So essentially, if you're a scalper, you could potentially take a break of this 282 level all the way down to fill this wick to 227. That's a pretty decent size, and just depending on if that's the strategy you go with, then that's a potential play as well. I think the ICT traders call it something. I think it's called like a fair value. I'm not sure about these acronyms. I trade my trades and whatever works for me. But this essentially could be an area that we come back down to and fill. Now, if we do break this 280 level and then come back down to this 226, 227 area, I still have this level here at 191. But again, really, I would be looking back at Tuesday's lows. So I'm going to zoom out here into the 1-hour chart and kind of show you guys Tuesday. We had this dip down before we moved back to the upside, but I would really be looking to see if we can, and I'm sorry, this was Tuesday's lows that I was talking about, this 191 level. But the next level really down that I see that could be pretty significant if we do get down to this area is this demand zone right here. You see on the 1 hour, we had this area of consolidation and this massive move up. So I would be looking for a potential reaction in this area. And this area is sitting at 20,989, 900 level, and then all the way down to this 931. So a potential reaction in this area if we do get there. But right now, for the upside, I'm not really having much conviction unless, anything can happen once we open here in about 15 minutes. The New York session will open. I want to see us hold above this 420 level. Okay. I really want to see us hold above 420 and then push up above 500. I think once we get above 500, I think there might be a little bit more promising moves to the upside, because we essentially have this whole move back to the 800s to make, right? Like, we really don't have much stopping us until, we got 570 until 810. So that's kind of something I'm looking for. We definitely have a lot of room to the upside if we can push back up 500. Otherwise, these are the levels that I'd be looking for the downside. So we'll kind of see what happens here. But I think we are almost ready. I think we're ready for our guests to come on as well.
We absolutely are. So the chat's been asking for him. So without further ado, let's go ahead and bring him into the stream. Big Gains himself.
Thank you
morning,
guys. How's everybody
How's
doing?
it going?
I'm doing great. Thank you guys for having me. I really appreciate it. I know you guys have been killing it, and I'm hoping we get a good Friday. We get some decent moves pre-market, and hope we get a good direction. We get some solid trades to end the week. How you guys doing so far?
Awesome. We're doing great. We're so excited to have you here today. We had a slew of guests throughout this whole week, and we want to end it on a big gains note. So we're so happy that you're here with us today. And before we kind of get into, the charts and what you're watching, I want you to kind of introduce yourself to the traders and let everyone know who Big Gains is, who Antonio is, how long you've been trading for, and kind of how you started getting into trading.
Yeah, well, back now, it feels like a long time ago, 11 years ago, That's kind of when I got started into trading. I was still in high school, and I used to be on YouTube late nights. And if you guys might probably know him, Timothy Sykes with the penny stocks. I used to get his ads right through the videos, and then it just got me intrigued. So I would study a little bit. I got into penny stocks, but obviously I didn't do well. Right out of high school, I joined the military, Army Reserve. So I was able to get a little bit of money from that. So when I was done with the military, I went back to trading again with penny stocks. Then while I was in college, I met a guy that was trading options, which was bad at the time. We got into options together. I go to work, make a few $1,000s, lose it all in markets every single month, essentially for about 4 years. Then around 2017, 2018, I started finding some consistency. 2019, I was doing pretty decently, and then 2020 was really good because there was just so much opportunities in the markets. And I've been pretty much full-time day trading since 2018, 2019, I would say. So yeah, that's how I got started. I think like most people, you're kind of young, you see these people making a ton of money, and you're like, you know what, I gotta get into that. And then I did the whole thing from penny stocks, shares, options. I never really had a good direction when I first started, and that was like the hardest part for me because like I didn't know anybody that was trading back then. The community was really small. You had like a Timothy Sykes, maybe a couple other guys teaching anything. So it took me a long time, and it was a long grind, but I just really loved it. Regardless if I was gonna make money or not, I just really enjoyed trading. No matter really what was gonna happen, so I thought I would stick to it. If I'm making money or not, it was great for me. And then luckily I was able to find my way, my path, and now I'm here, and I've been doing full time for the past 5 or so years, 6 years now.
That's so funny that, we talk about how we've gone through all of these different styles of trading just to kind of get to the point where we now feel comfortable. So you were an options trader. So is there something are you strictly futures now, or do you
No,
have?
I'm doing both. Like I feel like they're both really good if you use them correctly. It's kind of like a toolbox. Sometimes like a future, like trading NQ might be better. Sometimes trading options might be better. A good example I feel like was middle of May when price was really choppy. I feel like on futures you were getting stopped out really fast. You're trying to keep a tight stop loss and you were just getting chopped up. While with trading QQ, you could do a few days out expiration and kind of just catch those larger moves. And I like to kind of be a little bit of both. I tend to like to catch larger moves, and a lot of times just options are a little bit easier. So I'll go in with an option trade. Sometimes if I'm just scalping or I'm just looking for a different type of trade, I'll go with futures. So I would say I'm about 50-50 right now. Sometimes I'm entering on both. If the setup looks really good, I'm entering on like my live account or like a funded account I have on my futures. And I'm also entering with TD Ameritrade on my options.
Awesome. That's amazing. And is that something that you feel like, you've kind of stuck with the same strategy? And we'll get into your strategy a little bit because we definitely want to hear your insight on what you think today is going to look like for you. But have you kind of stuck with the same strategy for a while?
The past probably like I built the foundation of my strategy, but I feel like as the markets have changed a little bit, I probably always like adjusted to it. The core foundation has always been there, which is you've been using Fibonacci to kind of follow the overall trend, which has been using key areas on larger time frames, and then finding lower time frame entries. So I've kind of moved it as in, for example, during 2020, the market was extremely bullish, and I would trade a lot more breakouts. But I feel like the past 2 years, trading reversals has been kind of better for me at least. So I've been focusing on trading a little bit more reversals. So I've just been making little tweaks and adjustments based on just simply like how the markets has been and where I'm finding the best results. But I think having the core fundamentals of sticking to something that makes sense for you is probably like always like what you're gonna need at the bare minimum.
Absolutely.
Yeah,
And I feel like also
so
like
let me ask you this, BGC. We're 10 minutes from the open here. What does your last hour before the markets typically look like? Obviously, you're joining us today, so we're disrupted your routine a little bit. But like, what hour before the markets? First of all, do you trade outside the New York session, or do you try to keep it?
I will trade a little bit, like London. Like if I'm working London and Asia, like I'm doing something at night, I will take a trade. For example, yesterday I had some longs, and they both actually were able to hit the P's on 2 accounts. So if I'm working, I'll just take a trade on the side if I'm looking at the charts, and typically I'll just set it to P and a stop loss, and then if I'm done for the night, I'm not looking at my computer, I just let it play out. Now I would say that's just more of a side thing, but all my main trading, I try to stick to New York session at 9:30 to 11:30 the latest. So I feel like I love trading and I'm gonna be on the charts all day long. It's like not gonna be good for me, so trying to be strict when I trade. It's what I try to do every day. Because then you just get burned out, especially when you've done it for almost 12 years. Like I feel the signs of getting burned out at times. So limiting the screen time just like helps me like not get tired of it as much.
All right. So, as I understand it, we've got your charts up here. So we're going to bring those up, and we'll let you walk through what you are looking for and looking at as we move into 9 minutes before the New York Open.
So you were asking me exactly, like right before this, Jessica, how my hour looks. I'll be honest with you guys, I show up like 10 minutes before the market opens. I don't do much of pre-market analysis anymore because I feel like when you have enough years of experience, I used to not do this. You can kind of know what to look for all the time. Now I have a pretty decent idea from yesterday. So yesterday, what I was looking at was on the 4-hour. We actually had kind of a little bit of a breakout from yesterday and the day prior. So we had this area of resistance I was looking at the whole week. We finally broke out of it yesterday, Wednesday. But on Thursday we failed it. So to me this looked like a failed breakout. So I've been looking for some kind of continuation down if we fail to reclaim this area and potentially maybe come down to these lows at 150. So right now the pre-market session has been a little bit choppy. We did at 8:30 news. I did not look at what it was, but I can just tell kind of like by the wicks. And also being a Friday, usually we have at 30 a.m. news. So on the lower time frames, I'm kind of just trying to see which key areas we're looking for. We're looking for like a reversals. We took out a pre-market low off the news, and now we're getting a little bit of a V-shaped recovery. This yellow dotted line that I'm using here is a previous day closing price. I always look at it for an area of interest to either come back to price retest and then continue trend. We flip, and then on the daily candle we're flipping green, and maybe we can look for like an upside move. When I'm trading, I'm trying to not have like as much of a bias, or rather like look at my larger time frames, identify the areas where buyers should be and where sellers should be, and once we reach that, then look for a lower time frame trade. I feel like a lot of times people are trading like a bias, like, hey, I'm gonna be bullish today because that's what I believe. But I feel like the days that you're wrong, you're really wrong, they can adapt to like a big loss because your ego gets in the way. And you're like, you know what, like today we should be bullish, but price is really bearish, and you're just wrong the whole day. So I try to stay away from that, especially like knowing myself and like being a guy. Almost, I feel like we have like that ego thing, and I try to minimize it as much as possible, but just be like, hey, I have a lower time frame area, a higher time frame area that's bullish, a higher time frame area that's bearish. Which one hits first? I'll try to take a trade off of that. So I'll be watching for this previous day. If we can flip this right to open in about 5 minutes, and then maybe we get a retest of that area, and then now can act again as a resistance point. I try to stay away from the markets from the first 50 minutes. I try to let the opening range build up, and then sometimes look for an opening range breakout trade. I had a statistic actually last year that the opening range breakouts had an 80% win rate on Fridays only. This year has not been as consistent. 1 year of data on Fridays is not like the most data because it's only 1 day of the week. But last year had a lot of success trading these opening range breakouts. This year's been, and I only trade them on Fridays. This year's been a little bit more of a success, waiting for the candle close. So the first candle that breaks the range, whether to the upside or the downside, you wait for the 5-minute candle to close. So maybe we'll get a play like that. And
Wow.
Sorry, go ahead.
Oh no, go ahead. I was just I'm amazed at the 80% win rate. What is it specifically? Is it a certain strategy that you're using a breakout strategy, or is there a specific
Opening
strategy?
range breakout is the first 15-minute range, so 9:30 to 9:45, and whether it breaks to the upside or the downside. That was the stats for last year, though, 2024. This year's not been as consistent. It's a pretty like basic strategy, if I'm honest with you. It's been around for a while. And I try to keep an eye on it more for kind of direction for the day. When I first started learning, like the person who was a little bit teaching me, which is a friend, one of my classmates' parents, when I was in college, he taught me that the first 30 minutes he called the noob hours, or the first hour, 9 to 10 a.m. And he would always tell me that, hey, market makers are trying to kind of create a bunch of liquidity one side, and then they're going to reverse to the rest of the day. So that's why you get like a 10 a.m. reversal. I try to look for. Now it doesn't happen every day, but it is something I think about like almost every single like trading day. So I try to stay away from that first 15 minutes, especially for the volatility. And I realized with the years that's like I used to be like, the market is open, I need to be in a trade. But if I realized through the years, it's like actually like the day's pretty long. Like even if you wait till like 10:30 to take a trade, like there's still plenty of time in the day. So like I don't have to rush in so much, like just wanting to be in a trade. And also helps me with not over trading as much. I try to stick to 3 trades a day max. And also I size in and out of my trades depending on how good of a setup it is. So if I get like my best possible setups, I'm going in like a full size position. But if I'm getting a setup that like, you know what, like it's a really solid setup, but I don't see everything that I like to look for, I like half size my trade. So like I call that like dynamic risk management, and I feel like that's helped my trading a bunch. Apart from the win rates and risk reward, just like kind of like blackjack or poker, when you're sizing in and your best trades you're sizing in. And I learned that from Lance Breslin. He would do that a lot. So whenever he had a really solid A+ setups, he I don't want to say full power, but he go quite heavily in. And you know, since he win most of those, his P&L will overall do much better. And I read a study actually recently, I forgot from which school it was. I think it was like MIT or something. But hedge funds actually have a name for that, and they tend to do it a lot. Even Warren Buffett talks about it. Not that I'm like a hedge fund or anything, but I try to implement as much as I can to help my trading.
Yeah. To
All
learn
right. So we are under 3 minutes from, actually, we're just about 2 minutes from the New York Open. So again, we had the big pull down on the Trump tweet. We've since basically recouped that entire movement up at about the 21,370 level in the NQ, and at least an initial rejection off of the +1 standard deviation band off of VWAP. So now, guys, we are loading up the New York Open, and we will continue here with BGC, Big Gains Club, as we get ready for get ready to go here, guys. Yeah, it's so I've just been watching this. I've been listening to Big Gains talk and just watching this price action. This feels obviously a couple candles ago we had the nice movement up above VWAP to +1 standard deviation, but now we're kind of a little bit choppy, a little bit of indecision heading into the Open. I heard you talk about kind of opening range breaks a little bit there. Is there a particular time frame you like that on Big Gains?
I'm looking at the 5 minutes, so the first 5 minutes, I'll mark the high and the bottom.
Nice.
And yeah, I just usually wait for it. I've been waiting the past few months for the candle close. Last year I was mostly just as soon as it broke, found a little luck, just following the trade, you know. But I saw Brett tweet that you guys are like undefeated this week, so maybe I'm here to follow you guys' signals. You guys got great.
Marion's been killing it this week. She's been doing great.
I'm here just to relax.
Well, no pressure to take a position, but we do have your name on the charts here. So if you get into something, we'll definitely update that as we go today.
We gotta try to take a trade if we can. Like you said, it's been a little bit of a rangy pre-market. So hopefully we get a solid direction. But I try to take a trade, not a daily, but I tend to find my setups almost daily.
We got Simba in the chat saying we need a golden pocket trade, Antonio.
I mean, look, with this range, ain't no golden pocket. You gotta go wait for the strong direction. Golden pocket is also like a big confluence that I use. Now, I don't trade the way Brad trades it or like some other people. I kind of made my own settings, I believe. I don't know anyone that uses these 2 settings specifically, the 0.618 and the 0.66. So those I find a lot of success with this.
All right, we are open, guys.
Hopefully we'll get to use it if we get it's a nice trade.
Nice. So again, you're just waiting on the first 15 minutes right now. There, from what I'm hearing, is there's no trades until the first 15 minute is.
I don't want to say never. There's been sometimes there's always rules. There's always exceptions to rules, but I will say 90% of my trading days I'm waiting around 9:50s, like when I'm taking my first trades. 9:50 to like 10:15. I feel like lately this week was a little bit slower, the markets, especially like not this week, but the prior week and the one before that, we got a lot of chop. So I try to stay extra patient, avoid most of the chop and just wait for a nice setup to happen.
All right. Well, let's see what we get here today. Initial move here to the downside. We're still below those trend lines that I'm speaking of. We are kind of creating these new trend lines as well from the pre-market. But I'm kind of with you here. I mean, yes, there's always exceptions to the rules. But for Fridays, so because you said like Fridays for you have in the past been really good days for you. Do you feel though that kind of take it a little bit easier on Fridays at all?
You know what? This past year, they've been a hit or miss. Either I do really, really good or I do really, really poorly. So yeah, I do feel like Fridays I try to not do as much, especially if I had a good week. Like this past week,
Mhm.
I had only green trades. Luckily, it was a really solid week. I didn't trade on Tuesday though because I was traveling, but it's been a really solid week. But Fridays are a little bit of a hit or miss. Hopefully, they'll be a nice hit though. I think it also depends a lot on like if you had a really good week, you don't want to like I see this a lot with my students or like people I talk to. They're like, they'll have a solid week and they're feeling good, and then Friday comes and they'll give up all the games for the week. And I feel like that's probably the worst feeling going to
Mhm.
a weekend. You were up nicely, you were down, and then you made some mistakes on Friday and you just overtraded and you give it all up. That's why I'm so big on like setting daily loss limits for the day. There's been so many times that like I wanted to tilt and like I was just angry and I wanted to keep trading, but setting a daily loss limit on my broker or on my funder accounts was able to like, hey, you're done for the day. There's a lot of times like if you just give yourself like the day to like chill and cool off, you'll come back the next day and you'll find good setups and you'll make it back. But
Yeah.
it's like whenever you're in the heat of the moment, you kind of have that mentality. It's like, fuck this, like, whatever. Like I just don't care anymore. That's like the
Yeah.
worst thing that you can do.
Mm. That's so true. And this is I'm glad that you kind of said this too, because that's echoing what I had mentioned earlier today too. Fridays for me are specifically like, a little bit risker off days because the same reason. I don't want to go into my weekend after having such a great week. And now I have to go in with a red trade and everyone around me is bitter because I'm bitter, right? So, that's a good point to bring up. And to your point too, like you had a great week as well. So if there's definitely a trade to take, there will be one to take. But you guys heard it here, twice already. Don't force a trade, especially if you're up on the week. Make sure you're getting into those A+ setups, and we'll help guide you through what we're looking at too. So right now, I mean, we are just kind of we're kind of just stuck in this pre-market range. So when you're looking at, is the 5 minute kind of your sweet spot? Is that what you would say?
Yeah, I try to mostly stick to the 5 minute. I will jump down to the 1 minute for like finding like really solid entries, like as much as close to like the entry I like, and also setting my TPs and stop losses. But I try to let my trades play on the 5 minute. I don't want to just the 1 minute sometimes like the problem I see a lot of people do really well with it, and I do use it quite frequently in the 1 minute, but we let it affect us too much, and like we just hyper focus on the 1 minute and we're not actually looking at the overall picture. Like this, oh my god, this 1 minute we're nuking now. But it's like
Mm,
no, like just chill. Look at the 5 minute. We're making higher highs, higher lows
yep.
still. We might be able to recover this whole move and come up to these 420 highs. Especially 5 minute trade, I will just get out of the 1 minute like completely a lot of times,
Mm,
just so that I'm not like micromanaging the trade and not like getting worried over every single candle. And I'm really big also on candle closes. It's a little bit of like people love hard stop losses. I mostly don't use hard stop losses. I'll have like let's say I was in a long here and my stop loss was like under this candle. I
mhm.
will have like, hey, this is gonna be my stop loss, but try to let the candle close unless it flushes like too much, and I'm just gonna market close it. That's more I feel like an options thing than a futures thing. On futures people love like hard stop losses, and I understand why, especially on a prop firm, because you have strict rules and you want to abide by them. So I have nothing against them, but I try to look at the market more of like areas versus like exact dollar amounts, right? Like
Mm,
exact, like, hey, this is exactly what the stop loss is going to be. It's like, hey, this is going to be like my area of support or whatever, my fair value gap, whatever people like. And it's like if we close under and we lose it, then the area is gone. Because a lot of times I feel like price loves to like wick right under where you
mhm.
had like a really nice idea and then go back up. And over the course of like 100 trades, I feel like getting wicked out and losing on like a trade that would have played out really well ends up being worse than giving my trade a couple more points to play out. Of course, it's always the pros and cons. Sometimes you might get like, we got a Trump tweet today. You might get a
Mm.
Trump tweet and it flushes, and you get cooked, and it's happened to me. But it's like just finding your style of trading. I don't trade as much with the prop firms. Obviously, I have a Tradeify account, but I grew up, right? I grew up through my trading career without prop firms. It's a very newer thing that I'm
Mhm.
catching on now, and finding. I think they're great. I wish if I had prop firms when I first started trading, I wouldn't have lost. Like I probably lost nearly like $30,000 before I like saw any consistent profits, because you just set in a live account, lose it, go to work a few weeks, and do it all over again for a few years.
Yeah, it's definitely an interesting time that we're in as well. I heard you kind of talking about, this Trump tweet and, possibly chasing it. But what were some of the things that you kind of struggled with when you were first starting out trading? Or I guess even to this day is some things that you struggle with.
I would say there's probably been different things. The number one thing has been, when I first started at least, was finding like what is a strategy, like, because I didn't know literally anything about it or anybody that was into it. So I was strategy hop a ton. Like I watched this YouTube video, I watched that YouTube video, and that was like, I felt like holding me back because I wasn't mastering anything. A lot of strategies can be successful. You see people trade really well with indicators, people trade really well trading ICT strategies. At the end of the day, I feel like if you can master it, you can do well. It doesn't really matter. So strategy hopping was really tough for me in the beginning, and obviously over trading. Like I really I need to be in a trade all the time. When Trump was getting elected the first time around, like my big thesis was like, okay, Trump's getting elected, we'll go to war. So like I just full poured a bunch of war stocks, because that was a mistake to make as a beginner. Just like build this bias, like watching the news with no real analysis behind it. And nowadays, for me, honestly, the biggest struggles has been like not even with the trading as much, but actually like I trade live like in front of people every single day, and
Mm.
like that gets like tiring sometimes, and like wanting to like always give good results, knowing that trading you have losses. So whenever like I will lose a day, I'm like, I feel like I gotta keep trading until I'm green, and like everybody that trades with me is green as well. So like honestly, that's been like the biggest struggle the past like 3 to 4 years, more than my trading. I feel like my trading, like, I don't want to say I mastered it, because you're always gonna get better at it no matter what. But when it comes down to psychology, like I've stopped feeling FOMO like years, like after 2020, everything was going crazy. Then I now feel FOMO. Like if I miss a trade, I'm completely okay with it. And I try to follow my rules as much as possible, all the time.
Do you feel like there was a pivoting point for you at any particular year?
Yeah, I think 2019 was really big, because I didn't make a ton of money, but I made enough money that I was able to withdraw like pretty frequently, like once a month. And I think once you get to the point that you're withdrawing money to your account and you stop just depositing into the broker,
Mhm.
that's like when you're like, wait, this is not just like a game, like, because it feels like a game, really. It's you're like looking at charts, you're buying and selling, you're like, oh, look at me, I'm like a Wall Street person. Like that's the way I would look at it. I'm like, oh, I'm gonna work at Wall Street, like, right. I was much younger too, so I had that mindset like that. But when you're like, hey, I I was able to withdraw money, I can go get, like, it was around Christmas time too, so it was like
Mm.
early, like late 2018, beginning of 2019, going into. I was able to buy Christmas gift for my family at the time with like trading money, and like that mindset shift that you're like, this can be real, is I feel like when you really start like taking it a lot more serious.
Yeah, yeah. That's such a great point. I mean, it's really something that involves like a lot of your devotion, essentially. You can take this as far as you can if you want, right? Because it's uncapped potential to the upside. And the world of trading, doesn't care where you came from, doesn't care about your socioeconomic status, how old you are, it just really depends on how well you are at sticking to your plan and being disciplined. So that's really important. And you said you've been in the game for, you said 11 years.
Yeah, 11 or 12. So like 2013, 2014 is when I first started. Now I do want to say that, like, take it lightly. Like I started 2013, 2014, but I was watching like Timothy Psych ads. I wasn't
Mm.
actually like trading, because I was underage and my parents would not open a trading account at all, and you couldn't get a prop firm. So that's when I started. But I think I really started picking it up like when I took it serious when I came back from the army, which was about 8 or 9 years ago.
Okay.
Okay.
Yeah.
I
Yeah.
I got just a quick point and a question. Guys, for all of you that have watched the show all week, which I know a lot of you guys have, we've now had 4 different traders on. Okay, forget the host for a second. We've had 4 highly successful traders on this show this week. And what is one of the common themes? They've all traded differently, right? When they've talked about their style, it's all been a little bit differently. But what is the common theme running through all that? Is talking about the mentality, talking about having your head right, trading psychology, all that. I know this stuff isn't sexy, guys, when we talk about mindset and all that. But when you have 4 different traders, 4 different backgrounds, 4 different trading styles, all successful, and they're all talking about this, I really hope for those that brush this off that kind of becomes a bit of a light bulb moment. So Big Gains, how important do you consider having your trading mindset and being ready to trade mentally when you sit down in the morning?
Yeah, I think it's everything. I think you can have the best strategy in the world, but if you don't have the mindset, it's really pointless. I think it's probably a good 65 to 70% is your mindset. Like you mentioned, a bunch of different traders, a bunch of different strategy. And honestly, every successful trader I ever met, I don't have their strategy, don't have mine. Maybe we have some similarities, but the one thing that we all have in common is we try to follow our rules and be really strict with our mindset. I always saw it as a bell curve. So if I can draw this here, but it's this is the bell curve. So sometimes this 10% here and 10% here is when you get really. Here you get FOMO and greed, and then here you get start over trading. But 80% of the times, you want to be here, which is neutral. You're just following your rules, you're following your plan, and your emotions, whether you win or lose, they stay the same. It was a lot of people I asked them, it's they're really happy they got a payout, they're really happy they want to trade, and that's fair. But I'm asking them why would you enter a trade and be surprised that you won? Why are you so happy? Oh my god, I hit full TP. If you believed in your analysis, if you believed in that trade, that was the expected outcome. So why are you celebrating so much an expected outcome, right? You want to keep those emotions in check as much as possible, whether they're good or bad emotions, right? Now you can reward yourself when you do really well, and I'm all for that. But while you're actually in the charts, you should not feel you should always just feel when people their heartbeat, it's really fast, you want to keep it as even as possible throughout the trading day. And when as much as possible as you can keep that within that bell curve, I think that's the most success you're gonna find. Now, also we're not robots, right? You're gonna hit a big winner, you're gonna hit a big loser, and you're gonna fall outside that bell curve. You wanna keep, but the less you can do that, the better you will, right? I even to this day sometimes will tilt or oversize into trading goes my way, and maybe it was a little bit of luck, or I shouldn't have had oversized, but I hit a big winner doing that. Right, it never fully goes away. You just have to learn to live with that and master it as much as possible. If you start being okay with emotions, okay, I understand I'm gonna have them, then I feel you'll get much easier to know how to deal with them, because I feel knowing how to deal with them is much easier than trying to get rid of them, because you'll never be able to, in my opinion.
Do you feel like there was anything in particular that helped you get to that realization of just because to your point, we're all human, right? We're going to have emotions. We can't just be emotionless. Has it just been time on the charts, or anything in particular, any sort of premeditative, processes that you go through that kind of helped you get there?
I try to, some things you can do, so your daily last minute, all those things, but I think by far the number one thing has been just time on the charts. Especially if you talk about 2020, when there was 5 stocks ran up 2,000% in a day, you were oh my god, all these opportunities, you're missing them. You start being numb to them. You're I just got to the point, it's I've seen so many crazy things in the markets, both positive and negative, that's I know the next crazy thing is gonna happen. It's a matter of time. And if there's 20 crazy things that happen, we had a day a month ago now or something, that was 16% or 10% up on the day on the Nasdaq. I was playing basketball, I missed the whole move. And it could have been a thing that's wow, I'm so mad, we just went up 2,000 points, whatever crazy was. But I'm just it'll happen again. It's happened in the past, it'll always happen. And there's no one day that's gonna make you rich. There's not a rich quick scheme. It's not you're gonna hit the lottery. Maybe I caught that trade, I would have made nice money, but would that change my life? No. And then same should go for a trade that goes against you. It shouldn't change your life. It shouldn't change your life. So once I understood that, it's no one trade can make me or break me. I'm just gonna let winners compound over time and look. And I try to like look out a lot too. So we get so focused on just the daily profits, the weekly, and even though just monthly profits. But I try to like just imagine myself, like I take myself and like zoom me out, kind of like, and look at the earth from far. And like that's the way I like to look at my trading. Like what is my yearly goals? Like, am I gonna remember this loss in a year from now? I tell people that all the time. Like they're like, they'll DM me like, "Wow, like I took a bad loss today." It's like they're feeling really down. I'm like, "Do you think you're gonna remember in a year?" Because I'm like, I don't remember any losses I took a year or two ago. Like I maybe vaguely kind of remember like a day, but there's no day that stands out. So it's like
I remember a lot from my first 3 months, just because there were so damn many of them.
So yeah, I just having that mindset thing is very helpful. Here I see price retrace, and like we're getting to that gold pocket range, so we'll see if we get any reaction out of it. So if I'm looking for a long continuation, like here, like we had this move up right after the Trump tweet, I'm usually looking for there is going to be a long entry. I want to see a reaction between this 0.5 and that golden pocket. So that's where I'm like, hey, this is most optimal where buyers should want to be at to get a long position at a decent price. So if I am interested in long, the first thing I'm looking at is a reaction off this level. Now I'm not entering off of this. We're like, okay, just enter off of it. You don't just enter off a level. Me personally always wait for confirmation. So like for me to want to enter a trade, I'm gonna want to see here get like a buying candle, and then it tends to be a move up and then a retest. We can tap into for value gap at 0.5 of that smaller move, and then I'm looking for that long with that confirmation to usually take to some kind of key level. In this case, more likely will be this 420 level if it was a long position. Now, if we lose this
300 level right now,
maybe
looking
looking
like
for another move
where we're fighting a little bit. That looks like as I'm just kind of watching a little bit of the price action. It seems that like at least over the past 5-6 minutes, nobody, neither the bulls nor the bears can carry us too far away from 21,300. There's a couple of pieces of news that have come across the news wire. Chicago PMI came in at 40, expecting 45, so coming in a little soft there. The other piece of news just came out, and we don't talk as much about individual stocks, but when they're one of the Mag 7, one of the big tech boys, we got to talk about it. And it looked like there was at least a small initial NQ downside reaction. Tesla, New York Times has a big, apparently front page story that just dropped on very serious drug use from Elon Musk. So, I mean, newsflash, right? So apparently it goes beyond the
hours a day.
Yeah. So
I'm not surprised.
But yeah, so that's and just talking about how he apparently got a large government contractor. SpaceX must maintain a drug-free workforce. Musk received advance warning of drug tests. So I guess this will probably get lost in another scandal story in the next hour or so. But that might have been, and I don't think that there's any shocks from that. But that's a piece of news on a major stock out there. We'll pay attention to. So.
Wow. Yeah, definitely. We're still kind of chopping around here. We do also have some news coming out at 10 a.m. here. So make sure that you guys are lightly positioned, or at least positioned for this potential news to come out. Because it's not supposed to be a major market mover. We have the revised University of Michigan consumer sentiment, which, in the past, typically this wasn't a big market mover. I have seen some decent moves from this particular news. So just be mindful of that, guys.
Yeah, I agree to that. That's been something I've been watching too recently, like the last couple months. I'm like, I swear this thing is like new or something. And it's like be a crazy candle. Do you guys trade before, like if you're in a trade before the news, do you guys hold it, or you'll close out of it?
So for me, I typically don't trade the news. I'll trade the reaction to the news. But if I'm like heavily in profits, for sure my stop is going to be in profits. Typically I don't like to gamble with that.
All right, we're breaking down below a couple of key levels here. Would love to see a retest up to 300 and then a further breakdown. I might be looking below 275, but I need to see a touch up here at about the 300 level first. I want to see one more rejection of that level.
All right, so we did get the first 15 minutes of the open. It seems like we are trying to make this move to the downside, but yeah, to your point, Matt, let's see if we get this bounce here. I want to see if pre-market low is also going to be tested in this session here.
Yeah, pre-market low sitting at about the 225 level, a little above there.
Yeah, if we're able to close under that, like the pre-market low, and then take out the Trump tweet low, I do think we could get.
Oh boy, yeah, we just rolled hard there. I wonder if something else came out.
Oh boy.
I got an eye on the news feed here. There was volume behind that about 25-point drop there. This thing accelerates. We got room down to 200. It's just not going to come back and give me an entry here.
I'm watching these levels very closely here, guys. Anything you are watching in particular, Antonio?
I'm looking to see if we're going to close under the Trump tweet, if we're going to get bought back up. I like that we're looking for the downside because, when I showed you guys that 4-hour analysis I had was this fake breakout here. So I wanted to see a continuation lower today. And it will line up with some higher time frame analysis I had. So if this 5-minute close is under, maybe so we can get some kind of retest. Maybe a short would be quite nice. So this would be the.
I agree.
Yeah, I like to look for if we had any news. Once the news low or high gets taken out, I do like to see if it goes under it or back above it. And a lot of times, I've noticed, like I say, we have a news low and a news high. A lot of times, price will want to take one out and then reverse and take out the other one. Not all the time, but it is something that I like to look for. And I also like to look at ES at the same time, see how that's moving. So a lot of times especially recently, I feel like we've been getting this month of May, we're getting a lot of divergences between the twos. And I will try to stay away from it. ES is really flat, and then Q's looking, even if it's looking pretty good, I might usually stay away from that trade just because we've seen a lot of chop in May. And one of the things I'm trying to do is try not to get caught up in that chop. So it seems like today we might not be one of those days, luckily.
Yeah, I agree with your sentiment here. I want to see how we're going to react to this level on NASDAQ and ES. ES is at a level that we just bounced at the 885 area, but we do potentially have room to, like I said, I was kind of mentioning in the pre-market, this wick, which we both have on NASDAQ and ES. The wick on ES is sitting at 876. It kind of starts at this area that we're at right now, 890. And then NASDAQ broke the wick actually at 282 and has room down to 226. So if anyone took that short, that would be my first target, is that 220, 225, 226 area. And then, yeah, we really do have room down to this 190. I think for me, the A+ setup that I'm going to be waiting on is going to be breaking this pre-market low. My only thing is I don't really like the risk to reward on that because we could potentially get a bounce at this 192 level. So I think the A+ setup for me would actually be waiting on that 192 level to break and then taking it down possibly another 80 points, because we do have room down to about 115. So that's kind of something I'm going to be waiting for. If I am a bear today. Otherwise, if I'm a bull, I'm looking for this area to hold right now, which we are kind of making a higher low. So I do want to see that we're holding that. However, I did also have this trend line sitting here that we did very nicely break. We had a lot of confluence with this. I did not take this short. Unfortunately, it was too early for me to take this, but we did get this retest of the trend line. We got the rejection of the 9 EMA and VWAP. And now obviously we moved down to the downside. That would have been a solid, actually 100-point move if you would have taken your profit down here. But like I said, it's Friday, guys, so don't rush into anything. If you had a solid week, just kind of wait for this to play out. And like I said, we are getting news dropping in about 5 minutes here, so just be mindful of that.
Yeah, we also just had a really nice buying tail on this candle. It's one of the reasons I was looking strongly at 250 here. It's one of the reasons we don't chase, right? Because if you got short, break a VWAP, break here, or break at a 15-minute orb, great, congrats, man. Hope you put that money in your pocket. But if you're waiting for a little more confirmation, you also have to look at the fact, guys, we basically, since the open, it's been nothing but red candles on the 5 minute, right? So at some point you have to be very cognizant of chasing. So if you, and again, we talk about that these bad habits, they work just often enough to keep you doing them. If you chase to move down at 280, all right, you had an opportunity to take 50 points profit or close to at that point. But if you chased at 250 or 240, you're probably in a little bit of pain right now if you didn't already get stopped out. So just again, be very cognizant of when you're chasing. I need to see some sort of hitch and go or some sort of entry. I don't typically like to enter any trades right around sort of the 100 levels or right above or below 100 levels. Or I should say I won't go short just above or long just below, just because we have a tendency, at least temporarily, to bang our heads on some of those levels. But if you got a short in the opening 15, I hope I hope you cash some of it in. I hope you're still holding. If not, just be very cognizant on chasing these moves.
Yeah, very nice short so far. We're getting this move to the downside. We're still in my range though. Like I said, I kind of want to wait for this to play out. But I hate to say this. I kind of hate to say this, but I hope we hold. Mm-hmm. I kind of hope we hold this and, push back up to the upside. I don't know what's going on with me today. I don't know why I'm even saying this, because normally I'd be like, let's break and, break down, and I want to see this bleed. But I'm kind of like low-key sad that this trend line actually worked out. I didn't get into it. That would have been my nice entry here. Right now, like I said, I wouldn't even be waiting for a short until we break this 195 area. With confluence as well, which I'm kind of hesitant to short in this zone, but we'll see what we get. What are we looking at today? I know, Nick, I know, I can't believe I just said that, but did anyone take the short, or is anyone in a trade currently? Pop off in the chat, and also give it up for Antonio for being here as well, dropping some fire knowledge so far.
Thank you. Thank you guys for having me. I'm always glad to come on the show. There was an interesting short for me in 930 that if it wasn't in 930, more than likely, I think I would have taken that short. I mentioned it early on to the stream. I was looking at previous day closing price. It's a really strong influence for me. And you guys saw that the 930, we made it all the way back up to there, and we found a rejection at it. It's at if you remember on your charts, at 21384.50. And then here, I do like to sometimes look for like an inversion play. So here we had this fair value gap that got inverse. This could have been a trade, but again, it was around 930, 935. And usually I've seen just too many times that 930 candle like print one way and the next candle just goes the complete opposite way. So I try to always stay away. But if this came around like closer to 10 a.m., I think I would have taken this short. Fortunately, it didn't happen. But another thing I wanted to point out was also why I like to talk about candle closes and waiting for them, because like maybe somebody saw this pre-market low here right before the Trump tweet. They're like, okay, this candle's breaking and let me enter short. And then you saw quickly this pretty big bearish candle got put up. And I see a lot of times traders are trying to trade these breakout trades. They get caught up in that, and they take some pretty large losses, and they're pretty quick losses too. I feel as a trader, it's like the worst thing can happen. You enter a trade, the next 1 minute candle just destroys you, and you like hit stop loss less than a minute. And I'm like, wow, what the hell am I doing? But like that is, really like messes up you with your mindset for the day. So that's why I always try to, the first trade I try to be the most patient on, because you'll kind of set the tune for the day. It's a solid win. Hey, guess what? I'm done in like an hour, less than an hour. It's a tough loss. Then you might start like feeling, start triggering a little bit, and when I make it back and start over trading and take trades you normally wouldn't. For you guys, are you guys more of like a scalping style trading, or you guys try to catch like a pretty decent move? Like for me, I try to catch for at least like 80 to 100 points to consider like a decent win.
Damn, I'm a micro scalper compared to you. I'm trying for about 25, 30 points in the NQ.
Hey, if that works, there's nothing like, if you're catching 5 points, like you're making millions of dollars, like shoot, like, like I tell people, like, especially on social media, a lot of people are like, oh, well, like I posted a trade recap yesterday, and people were like, oh, you traded it off of nothing. And I'm like, how do you know? Like I caught over 100 points. Like, well, just because it's not your strategy doesn't mean it's bad or good. Like it's just my strategy. Whether you're flipping a coin or looking at the moon and you're doing well. Like I had a friend of mine, he would look at the constellations. He'd take an apple long because Mercury was like in a certain way, and he would do well. So I'm like, he may be a little crazy, but good for him.
Oh man.
I once
Well, we just
demoed a stock or a charting platform, I won't name it, that had lunar cycles as an option built in for analysis, and I was like, nope. I
There's
mean,
some
like you said,
indicators with trading
if you're
videos.
basing it on a system, okay, who am I to? But like, don't give me a month's results, right? Like, show me multiple years on that.
Hey, you know,
Okay, we're getting a
I see it on
little
Twitter a
upside
lot.
activity here.
yeah,
Let's
we
go
got the
retest
Michigan
300. I
sentiment.
think we can get
Michigan
yeah.
sentiment just came out today. Current conditions, 58.9, estimated 58, previously 57.6. Expectations came in at 47.9. You know, for this, like I said, this is kind of one of those data points that in the past, you know, it's not marked as a major market mover, but in my experience, for whatever reason, I've always seen a decent move off of this data, which is why, you know, like I said, you guys got to be careful when you're trading into these news. If you were short at this and you didn't take profit, you might be sweating right now, depending on when you got in. So, you know, for me, that's why it's, like I said, it's so important on Fridays to just be a little bit more careful, because this candle alone, we're pushing into a 100-point candle right now. You know, we're about 30 points away from that. So, you know, you guys just got to be careful into this. Antonio, I don't know if you're a big news trader, but you know, what do you think of something like this? If you were in a trade,
I'll be honest, I don't even know. I'll be honest, after news, I don't even know what the hell they mean. I just know they're gonna give a move. I'm not gonna study. I try to do the news things, you know, study the earnings report, and I find zero correlation. They'll kill the earnings, the stock tanks. You know, like I don't understand it, and it's not my trading. I'm aware of them, and you know, most of them I'll keep an eye on it. Like if there's a 10 a.m. news, I'm adjusting properly, whether I'm sizing down if I'm in profit, or I'll close it all together sometimes, or I'm just waiting for the next candle then to take a trade. But to like study the news and like understand why it's moving in a certain direction, I don't really find any edge in that, so I try to put it away. I feel like if it's not helping me, I'd rather just not think about it and keep my trading as simple as I possibly can. But I do want to say, you did say you wanted to see price hold up, and look at it, it's holding up.
yeah, I was kind of hoping. I mean, we did make
this.
a higher low, so we could start pushing to the upside here. What would be the level for you, Antonio, for you to flip long right now?
If we get back over this 360 area, then I'll probably look for some kind of move like this to take out these eyes at the very least. The risk reward is not insane, but it's not terrible. If there was maybe a couple more confluences down here that maybe there was no use, I think maybe there could have been an entry, right? Because we all kind of mentioned this 268 to 65 area, right? We saw that buying candle. I feel like there just wasn't enough confluence for me to take a trade off of it. But yeah, if we flip this over, going long wouldn't be a terrible idea. But you know, overall the range, we got a pretty decent move to the downside, and now this candle, I'll say we're still kind of within that pre-market range. We made a new low or a new high in the pre-market, so I'm not feeling like, oh my god, I missed anything crazy so far.
Yeah,
We're still pretty good. Like, you know, I'm not taking a trade. Maybe there was some opportunities in there, but they were pretty small.
And this is the first candle. This candle that we're in right now in the 5 minutes, the first candle that's broken the high of the previous candle since we opened. So just
first green candle too on the 5 minute.
Well, it's 54 seconds left. Be careful.
True.
But yeah, the fact
that's happened to me. Like, I'm like celebrating too early, and then the next candle just destroys me.
Yeah. Well, but we did get a retest of this 300 level. There could be some opportunity if we dip back below there. I don't know if I want an entry on this candle. But if we, we got to see where we close. If this candle closes another 30, 40 points higher, I'm not sure I'm going to take a short off of a candle like this. But let's see where we go. 30 seconds left on this candle, guys.
Antonio, while we're waiting for this candle, I have a very important question for you. Should we do a giveaway?
I was going to ask you guys that. I already texted Brad, like, hey, if I'm showing up, we're doing giveaways. If I show up as a guest anywhere, I'll do a giveaway myself, you know?
Let's go. You guys heard
and
it
it's
from
Friday.
Antonio.
It's Friday. I'm pretty sure this is the first week you guys are doing this. Like, it needs to be something big.
Exactly.
To be,
I agree with you. So, but
yeah.
I think we should get some more likes in this chat here. Let's get this to 500 likes, and we'll do a giveaway. We'll do a 50K advanced account giveaway. Once we get to 500 likes, pop off in the chat, like this, and make sure that you're subscribed. You have to make sure you're subscribed and that you like this stream to even, you know, be applicable for this giveaway.
There's
So,
920 people here, so 500 likes is nothing. It should be like half the
exactly.
people heard
That's what I'm
that.
saying.
That should be
Come on,
very
guys.
I've got a VWAP test on deck here.
Do you guys look at ES ever on the other side, or is that just me?
Yeah.
Usually
no,
only key areas.
Go ahead. Oh, sorry.
Yeah, I won't trade ES as much, but like when we come into key areas, like we were talking before this recent pullback, the importance of the 6,000 level. So I will use the ES for some of the bigger levels, especially the 1,000 levels. I don't trade it as much. Again, you know, I think the NQ, you know, kind of the final boss, as it were. If you struggle with managing your risk, you really should be in the ES, or really more specifically, you should be in the MES. But once you're able to manage your risk to the point where, I mean, listen, loss is a part of this game. Managing your losses, taking losses is a part of this game, but you're not letting yourself get tilted off of the indexes. Then I think the NQ does present, you know, some of the better opportunities to make money. But again, if you're jumping right into the NQ, that's literally throwing a 3-year-old in the deep end. You better hope they can float.
Absolutely.
No, I totally agree.
It looks like we got the 500 likes that we needed for this first giveaway. So I said first, keyword first, because we got a couple more coming out. So first giveaway, again, is going to be that 50K advanced account. So I need everyone right now in the chat, if you want this giveaway, to type in gains. Gains is the keyword for this giveaway. We're going to pick someone shortly here. So it's gains.
Everybody starts spamming. Good luck to everybody.
Oh, here we go.
Lighting up now.
Everybody gets, they all just woke up.
Let's go, guys.
Do you guys just pick a random person, or like how do you guys do it?
I think Nick, background Nick, are we gonna
Or
no,
producer?
Nikki, are we gonna do a countdown? I'm just waiting to see. I believe it's gonna be a countdown in about less than a minute here. So we're gonna have our random pick from the back. I think it's a bot that picks it. So this is all randomized, guys. We're gonna do about 30 seconds here. We already have over 300 entries, guys, for this giveaway. Again, this is a 50K advanced account. We're going to be picking in about 10 seconds here.
Only type gains once, or you get disqualified, guys.
And make sure you guys stick around for the rest of the stream, because we're going to also be giving away a growth and a straight to funded account, guys. Straight to funded. And then we're going to have you, Antonio, pick that last big one. So
I'm picking the biggest, the best one. Or I'm not picking a random person.
That last one is going to be huge. Straight to funded, guys. You don't want to miss that. And Antonio is going to be the one to pick it, so it's going to be extra special for you guys.
I feel special now.
All right, so I think
I'm looking at this
the winner
350 area, potential rejection. It was the kind of area that we broke down from this morning. So I'm keeping an eye on it. We did some pretty strong bullish candle, and I try not to fight the trend. I try to even not catch a reversal, be like overall trying to follow the larger time frame trend, but if there's some rejection off of that, I might look for a trade. But then if we flip over 360, I'll stick to the long bias.
I'm gonna announce the winner real quick for this first 50K account. Carter McGrady. Carter McGrady. The giveaway is over, guys. Stop typing gains. We have already selected a winner. Carter McGrady. If you can type in the chat so we know that you are here and you can claim your prize.
Hey, shout out to Carter, man.
Congrats. There you go. Congrats, Carter. You just won a 50K account, advanced account, and we'll be sending you the information for that. Make sure that your email and your YouTube studio matches your Tradeify account. And make sure that you like and subscribe this channel.
And Carter's the next one on our challenge. As I challenge all of our winners, take that and turn it into 6 figures of payout. Let's
go. Nice. All right, Antonio. And I'm sorry if no one heard you there.
The giveaway is more important.
The giveaway is important, right? So 360 is that area you're looking at, right?
Yeah. I'm gonna be looking at that. Another thing I'm gonna be looking at is, so yes, is approaching the opening high, the 930 open. So if we take out this high, but in Q lags behind, then maybe I'll look for some kind of rejection like this. If we do get something like that, I try to look at divergences, and I find a lot of success doing so. Obviously, I'm combining with other confluences, but get divergence, because yes, it has been a tad bit overall stronger than in Q. maybe there'll be another move down. But again, we're still kind of just hanging out in the middle of the range still. Still haven't got any clear direction for the day, and it's been a little bit the whole pre-market area. We kind of went down a bit, go right back up, down, up, down, up, down.
Yeah.
And those are the days that I will tend to struggle the most, since I do like to catch a little bit of a larger move. Usually the trending days are when we get a much, we get a strong move one direction or the other, or at least it's very volatile. Like a lot of ups and then a lot of downs. Those are the days that tend to do the best, because I try to like milk my trades as much as possible, and trying to kind of like just give it more breathing room.
Yeah, I agree with what you said too with ES. ES definitely does look a lot stronger. Both NASDAQ and ES on the 5 minute, I mean, just in the regular intraday time frame, did make higher lows. And when we look at that from a technical perspective, we're looking at the pre-market here. We made this low here on the NASDAQ at 227, and then we made another low at 236. So when you have two high lows here, you typically get a bullish movement, and typically that's actually called a double bottom. So that is a bullish indicator there that we might start moving to the upside here. Now we still have some areas where we could potentially reject, to Antonio's point, this 260 area, as he had mentioned. I would be looking for us to at least crack the day's high, which is sitting at 390 here on NASDAQ. On ES, it's sitting at this 912 area. And so for me, I'm kind of in a position right now where I want to see this range break, because we're technically still in the pre-market range. Pre-market is also, the high of the pre-market. We're looking at this 420 level. So we do have room to that upside there, but yeah, I'm just gonna kind of wait and see where we go from here. But like I said, guys, this is something where, we could switch from being bearish to being bullish very quickly. So you just want to be careful, that you're not holding on to these losing trades just because you had one trade idea for the day that you're very determined for it to work out. You got to be able to flip the script when the market is showing you to do so.
Yeah, it's been just watching this price action. The obviously the candle coming right after the Michigan consumer sentiment at 10 o'clock Eastern. Very, very strong, very bullish candle. Same with the one that follows it. I was just about to literally say this one is not shown the buying strength yet, and now it's going to head up. Looks like we want to go test 400 up here. Yeah, it could see a high of session break here, a high of day break, which would be up at about the 421 level. But we've really struggled to get above the 400 and hold above the 420 level. So whether this news acts as a catalyst, but boy, guys, what a day, huh? We opened at 9:30 with 6 straight red candles. We are now on track to close 3 strong green candles. Boy, for those of us that like a little extra confirmation, for those of us that like a little break, retest, go action, what a shitty open, right? We get big moves
big time,
with little to no warning and little to no opportunity to participate in those moves if you're not in them from an early time. So, not all moves are created equal. We've seen that. I'm flipping now, actually, guys. If we can, I'd love to make a run at 400 and stall out there. I would flip to maybe looking for a bearish trade back to VWAP at that point. But again, we'll see. It seems to be a day that's sort of defying a lot of expectations.
Absolutely.
And when we did have some, like even the 10 a.m. Setup that was looking pretty decent for long, we got bought back up. We saw the 5-minute was right before the news. So maybe you're like, okay, let me wait after the news. And then the news kind of like went straight up and you're like, missing that trade. And then same goes for the short side trade that had kind of a little bit of my eyes on at 9:30. But sometimes, sometimes that happens, and again, it's like when you start like, oh my God, like I missed this moves, like let me FOMO in now, let me try to catch something. Like that's what you don't want to do. You just want to wait, because I always said if there is a good, if there's really a good trading day, it's a good entry will happen no matter what. If a real good trading day will give you an entry, now sometimes you can't rush it, you just gotta wait for it, and just let the trade come to you. The trading day, like I mentioned earlier, it's long. It's only like 10-15.
Absolutely.
So
and what I found interesting, starting from our opening candle, is that we have not we went those first few candles where not a single candle broke the high of the previous candle, and then all of a sudden we have this huge candle here, and not one of the candles so far has broken the lows of those candles. So that may be a nice little sort of hidden technical thing to take a look at if it aligns with some of the other stuff that you're looking at. I was actually teeing up to potentially look at something short about the 320 level if we broke the lows in this candle right when this candle was kind of farting around here at the 1010 candle, and then it took off. So again, when you see such strength in buying, you just got to step back, especially if that goes against where you were looking to potentially enter, or against your bias. If you have a bias, or you have some sort of thesis in terms of what the markets are doing, and you receive new information that contradicts that, doesn't mean you throw it completely out, but you need to pause and you need to say, okay, what am I basing this particular thesis on, and does this new information negate that? It's a constant battle going on in your heads, guys, and it goes right back to the point Gaines made, and all of our guests this week have made about trading psychology. You've got to know what parts of yourself to listen to, if that makes sense. We all want to just blow it away and make, we all want to become millionaires today, but obviously that, unless you're already a millionaire, that's probably not feasible for today. So you need to get into a situation where you're able to understand which of the voices going on up here are telling you, hey, let's be rational, let's process information, and learn to sort of ignore those voices that are like, no, go, buy, short, et cetera, et cetera.
Absolutely.
We're seeing both Yes and NQ hit the previous day closing price, and they're finding a little bit of rejection off of it. So again, that's like something I do try to look for.
Yeah,
sorry, go ahead.
Oh no, go ahead.
No, I was gonna say something that whenever I have a key area, like I want to see usually a quick reaction from it. If price starts chopping right in my key area, usually the way I see, especially after we had a pretty decent move to the upside now, it's like I see kind of price just resting and starting to create, so we had this move right here. And I like to see this to be like, boom, a pretty quick move to the downside. Maybe not that strong, but pretty quick. But if I start seeing price, because it takes a lot for price to move up this much, right? Like a lot of liquidity, a lot of movement. And then I start seeing it chopping. I almost see it like it's resting, or we think about a bull flag, we think about some kind of consolidation period. And then usually I will favor that towards the continuation of that trend. So price had time to build up. Versus here, you guys saw here, we didn't get any consolidation, but we just got that V shape back up.
Yeah, we did get a nice, on your chart specifically, a nice V-shaped recovery there on, is that the 5-minute chart that we're looking at?
Yeah, I'm looking just at the 5-minute right now.
Yeah.
And then when something really, if I'm in a key area, it's like, okay, I might be getting the trade, I'll try to zoom in into the one. The one had some pretty decent, I really liked this here for the reversal, but again, it was coming right at 10 a.m., so I wasn't going to take that unless I was already in.
Yeah. Absolutely, yeah, and it does look, again, I stick to the feeling that ES is a lot stronger than NASDAQ here, but we're still not able to crack this pre-market high here that I would be looking for. If you are an options trader, again, this is something I kind of mentioned to you guys when I was trading SPX as an options instrument. We are technically in this gap entry. We're trying to get into the gap right now. So that's something that I would be looking for a potential long or potential call. If you guys are options traders out there, this gap here on SPX would be starting at the 903 area, and then it would end around the 912s. So about a 10-point gap fill. So if we can get this upside move, otherwise we get a rejection here. This is what I would be looking for, is a potential rejection if we can't get the volume to break to the upside and potentially fill that gap. So something for my options traders out there to consider.
Yeah, I'd really like to see this candle kind of doji out here.
Sorry, Matt. I mentioned
go ahead.
On the high and then Q not taking on the high. We are kind of getting that right now. So maybe if we close under this 350, I might look for a short. So let's see.
Yeah, I'm kind of eyeing this potential rejection here. We are also rejecting that trend line that I currently had earlier, that 1-hour trend line that we've already broken. I just kind of like to keep these on my chart just to see how price is going to react to them. But this area, this 382 area, we rejected beautifully, and now we're kind of we're kind of doing a pause candle. What I would like to see potentially is a move back down to this 350 area and then potentially move back up. Otherwise, we get the volume here and we start pushing to the upside. We are entering that gap fill on ES here as well. So let's see if we get the volume. The 5-minute candle opened up nicely above the previous candles. So that's something, you know, if we get the volume here, we could potentially get this move to the upside.
Yeah,
I just
like
want to see this break
this
though.
previous day closing price get closed above for both indices, and then maybe you can get some. Could be a pretty big, pretty strong day.
Yeah,
Yeah.
let's see what we do. All right.
Yeah, if we break out to the upside, we've got some serious room. We probably have 80 to 100 points of upside potential. And again, you know, for all the movements that we've made today, we're basically at break even from yesterday's close, right? Like we're 25 handles in the NQ away from basically making it a red to green day. So yeah, I'm boy, where we're at on the chart, we need a breakaway with volume. But I could equally see. I think we've got to move on deck here. I got to look at this a little longer to determine what direction. I think if we get below kind of this 360 to 355, maybe the below of the candle from 1015, we could see a little push down. But this feels light. This feels like we want to break out here.
Yeah, absolutely. All right, I think we're going to do another giveaway in a bit here. This next giveaway is going to be for a 100K growth account. Okay, guys, so if you haven't already, I need to see those likes up on this channel. Make sure that you are liking this episode here. Make sure you're showing our guest Antonio some love in the chat. And we're going to do this giveaway in a bit here. Matt, if you want to announce that.
Absolutely. So do we have the okay, we're gonna do code Friday for 100K growth. So Friday, all caps, FRIDAY. Do it once or you're disqualified. And yeah, that will trigger our 100K growth giveaway. Wishing you guys all the best of luck with that.
Let's go. All right.
We're still unable to break over the previous day price. So we get any type of rejection. The idea that I'm watching will be like something like this, and try to like come to maybe retrace some of this move higher. We haven't got any clean retracements today. It's all been straight up or straight down.
Yeah, that's the only thing. I feel like price is kind of moving sluggish right now.
Yeah, it does feel like that. And I've said that before, like some of the worst PAs, like when it feels like it's going one direction, but it's like very like almost like dragging its feet in the sand in that direction. There was a day, like I think it was this week, there was like price was bearish, but it was like every candle will like wick like green, then wick red, and then it'll close slightly red, and it was just like a slow grind down. And those are like where I find a lot of traders like struggle with or chop.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, we're just getting the slow grind of the upside. Volume is kind of decreasing here on the 5-minute as well. So we'll see. We'll see if we get the surge. We don't have any other major economic data coming out. We're kind of done with that for the rest of the day. We do have Fed member Bostic speaking at 9:20 a.m. Other than that, not much going on a Friday. It's kind of a quiet Friday today. Unless you were able to capture these moves, we're not really doing much. We're still not able to clear these highs here. So none of us are currently in any positions at the moment.
Yeah, it's the first last. I don't know for you guys if you have kids, I have a son, and today's the last day of school. So maybe the volume is now last day of school. And back in my day, I feel like school ran all the way till like middle of June. I don't know.
That's how I felt. Yeah, our school
they start early and they end really early.
Right. All right, let's announce this next winner here. So we're gonna stop. If everyone's typing in Friday, no more Fridays in the chat. We're gonna announce this giveaway winner here. Winner is Mohammed Khan. Mohammed Khan, please type your name in the chat so we know that you are here. Congratulations. You just won a 100K growth account. All right,
Yeah,
give it up for
congratulations. We want to see you turn that into 6 figures.
Let's go. Hey, we see you in the chat. Let's go. Give it up for Mohammed.
Congrats. Yeah, shut up.
All right, and we still have one more giveaway, guys, so make sure you're still in the stream because Antonio is going to be announcing the giveaway, and this one's going to be a straight to funded account, so you definitely don't want to miss this one.
You're saving the best for last, so you guys have
saving the best for last. That's right. Yeah. All right. And if you guys have any questions for our guest as well, make sure you throw it in the chat. You know, we got a lineup of guests this week, and we had a lot of great insights. So use this time. This is free for everyone. You know, we're obviously very happy to have Antonio here with us. So make sure you're showing him some love and asking away your questions. I kind of have a question for you, Antonio. If you weren't trading, if trading wasn't like your career right now, what do you think you'd be doing?
Shoot, that's a good question. I'll be honest, like I joined the military because I had no idea. But probably I really liked being a lawyer. So that was kind of like when I was going to school. Like I don't know if I would have been, don't know if I would have made it all the way. But that's when I didn't finish my bachelor. I only did 2 years. But that's like the path I was kind of decided to go towards. That'd probably be like where I'm at. So I think maybe a lawyer. If that failed, maybe join the military again.
That's a good business.
I've never had like a crazy passion. Like I don't know, some people are like, oh my god, I wanted to be a veteran, but vet, you know, their whole life. It's like I never really had that. Luckily, the fun trading. Like I knew I was gonna be successful in my head. I was hoping at least. Like I just didn't know how. And you kind of like sometimes I feel like in life you stumble upon things, and those are like the best. I feel like it's the best way like life takes you. And I tell people this: if you're young and like I don't know, I'm only 28. People are like, my child would say I'm old. I feel like I'm pretty young. But as long as you're young, I feel like any opportunity that comes, you know, that comes to you, just take it, whether it's good or bad. Those experiences, they'll eventually lead you to your path. And just like I have faith that you'll get to your goals.
Yeah.
Like, I didn't know I was gonna be good at anything, and I just like faith and just kept working. Wasn't focused on the results, and then poof, it felt like overnight, like oh wow, I'm doing really well now in my life. So you know, you just gotta have to believe in yourself.
That's amazing. Yeah. And it shows towards your hard work as well. I mean, you've been in the game for over a decade. So, you know, it's never, I'm sure as you know now too, like there's never a day in the trading world where you're not learning something, right? You're so constantly.
It's never easy. There's never like an easy day. There's never like, oh my God, today, it was an easy day at work. It's always for it.
This is true. This is true. All right, guys. Well, we're testing these initial morning highs here. Like I said, we're still not able to completely hold above. So I'm kind of concerned by the bulls right now. We definitely need to get a surge of volume to at least push above, maybe get a retest and then continue higher. So we'll see what we get here. But any sort of changes in your sentiment so far?
For me, I'm just still looking at those two areas, the previous day closing price, which we're like testing right now for maybe the 5th, 6th times. We'll see if it goes above it, or if we were to close under 350. Those are going to be the 2 areas I'm currently just keeping an eye on for potential continuation or upside or breakdown. I would have liked a little bit of a deeper retest.
Difficulties there, but I'm back up now.
Oh, welcome back.
Yeah, well, I was having it wasn't a mic or anything this time. Thankfully, just TradingView just randomly crashed on me. So I'm all good now. All good, back up, ready to go as we look like we want to make a push towards the 400 level.
Yeah, I had a big issue yesterday. Like my TradingView on my Google Chrome, I couldn't log in on anything. But then I went to the TradingView app and I was able to log in just fine. I cleared all my cache and all my cookies and all that. Like I don't know why it just wasn't working the whole day. So now I'm using the TradingView like app, which is kind of identical, but I don't know. I just never used it. I don't know why I was having an issue too yesterday. We tried to break about this previous day closing price and just right under it.
Yeah.
Both on the S&Q, but see if the bulls can push it above. And I think they have pretty much room to 420.
Yeah.
Even less number.
We did when I look back at the 1 minute, we did get a nice move of volume on that last candle, but we're still getting kind of this top wick on the 1 minute. 5 minutes still not looking too enticing. But if we can get a close, I mean, if we can get a close on this 5 minute above 390 on NASDAQ, then I think it sets us up for a nice move to the upside. We'll see what we get here. We just opened that 5 minute. We opened, yeah, we opened right at that 384 level. So not really looking too hot for bulls here.
Yeah, with this,
seeing it retrace
this is a
would be
pretty
nice as well.
scary to stall out here.
Yeah.
It's also a 930 opening price. It is something I like to mark out. The 930 opening price, we're kind of right on that, which lines up with the previous day closing price.
You said is 9:30 a specific time for you that you look
Yeah,
at?
when New York open, I like to kind of have it marked out and just like.
Oh, right. Got it.
9:30.
I'm so here, I'm on the West Coast, so every time I have to like do like a quick calculation in my head to be like, oh wait,
6:30.
9:30 is.
Yeah, I traded most of my life in San Diego, so I've only been in
okay,
Florida for like
nice.
3 years now. So I feel you. And sometimes it's tough getting up. I'll tell you that. I don't know if I would have been here if it was 6:30. The 9:30 is for me. I hate waking up early, so but I had to do it. I had to grind, and I think getting up earlier, 6:30, actually helped me because I still had the rest of the day to go to school, and I was working like a couple different part-time jobs, and then I was in the Army Reserve, so it was actually good at the time.
Yeah, that's a big point. So did you recently move? Are you in the East Coast right now?
Yeah, I'm living in Florida right now. It's mostly like COVID. When I was in California, like they closed down the gyms for a year. I was in Encinitas. I don't know if you know the area. But I had a house there for a few years, and after like COVID, I was like, I'm out of here. And I was like, also the taxes are nice, and I spent a lot of time in Italy because I was born in Italy, so it's kind of easier to move from this side to Europe versus that side is even further. And I go back. My dad still lives in California, so I go back pretty frequently to visit.
Awesome. Well, we're gonna have to have a California meetup, West Coast trading session whenever you're back here.
Oh,
I'm not too far from San Diego, so.
Yeah, I know the Florida heat's kicking in, and I'm like, anywhere but here. I'm going to Brazil tomorrow for a month, so
Very
probably
cool.
I'll spend some time this summer in California. See my
That's
family
awesome.
too.
I love it. All right, guys. Well, we're still trying to get this push here. I want to know in the chat, is anyone in any trades? I'm curious. Like, I know a few people kind of bottom that. I was watching the trade or the chat earlier. I think I saw someone go long at like 240, which congratulations, by the way, if you're still holding this. You got a decent, at least 150 points out of that. We'll see what we get here. Break even right now.
Someone asked where in Florida. I'm in north of Miami, in Boca. I used to be more south in Miami, but now that I have a kid, and like Miami's more of a young party city, so moved away from that.
Yeah, very big party city. Do you feel like, I mean, Italy, do you trade in Italy too, right? Or is that something
Yeah, it's at 3:30 p.m. I've traded everywhere. I've traded in Japan, I've traded in Maldives, I've traded in all over Europe.
That's awesome.
I've spent most of my years traveling as I was trading. Now I've tuned it down just a little bit. I still travel quite a bit, but my son's getting older, so he's going to school and all that, so I can't be as crazy. But I've traveled, like, it was midnight. It was 11:30 p.m. when I was in Tokyo. That was like the toughest.
Wow.
Yeah, that was like the worst. Because you felt like you're trying to enjoy the day, but the jet lag, it feels like you stayed up all night, and then you're trying to trade. But the last time I was in Japan, I didn't have a losing day or losing trade for 2 weeks. So
wow.
maybe it's good. I don't know.
Maybe your next move is Japan.
Maybe it was good. Yeah. That's actually my
right.
favorite place to travel to. So I try to go twice a year. Last year I was able to go twice. This year, I don't know if I'll be able to, but I'll try.
Nice.
We see a question that I think is very important for all of us in the chat. Uim asks, how do you stay strong with sitting on y'all's hands? And honestly, I'll answer really quickly, and then I'll kick it to Big Gains here. But honestly, it's see a setup, take a setup. No setup, no trade. And yeah, gosh, all this movement and not seeing something that really is exciting to me, it sucks. I'm sitting here kind of frustrated and pissed off, to be honest with you, but I'd rather be frustrated and pissed off not in a trade than pissed off in a trade. So yeah, I'll kick that to you, Big Gains, and we'll circle back to Marion. But if you movement like this, and yet you're not seeing a setup, how do you process that, and how do you not chase something?
Well, I try to. This is mentality of going to the markets every day. It's like I go into the markets not wanting to trade. I go into it like it almost doesn't make sense, but I'll be on my phone. I'm scrolling TikTok. I'm staying busy, and I'm like almost not caring for the charts, which sounds terrible. But then I let the charts, like they'll show me something. I'm like, oh, that stuff looks really good. And it makes me want to like just lock in. And that's when I find my trade and I'll enter my trade. But having the mentality, it's like, I'm not looking for a trade. I feel like stress-free going into it. And also like you look at this 1 minute price action, I'm in a trade. I'm like, I'll be just thinking like, oh my God, finally I'm going long. It's working. And like, it just gets faded again. Okay, my shorts, like, let's say I was in a short. Okay, I'm finally going to break down, take profits, and then goes right back up. So fading, I'm happy I'm not in a trade because it's just been some like sideways price action since 10-15 or so.
Yeah, I like what you said there is, you start to try to train yourself to not like give a care about what's happening. You have your plan and you trade your plan, and that's all that matters. Price can do whatever it wants in the middle of that. But if nothing's happening, then what's the reason for you to try to stress over something, right? That's kind of where boredom trade comes in. And that's definitely not the type of trading we want to put on. It's not going to make you a successful or profitable trader over time. So, it's something good to keep a mind on, especially on a Friday. So just make sure, you guys are well aware of that. NASDAQ's still here rejecting this area. We're still kind of like, we could possibly, for me right now, what I would really want to see is bulls holding this 350 level. I think if we get this retrace back to this area, I mean, right now we're holding the 9 EMA on the 5 minute. We could potentially now try to get this push up. It's just not giving me a lot of conviction here. And on days like this, I'm just kind of like, you know what? We're just gonna wait for something to happen here. But I don't know if we want to do are we doing a quiz? Another quiz, Nick? It looks like we might have a daily quiz here for you guys.
Yeah, I like it. If you can make, studying fun, why not?
All right, guys. Matt, you got to read this.
There are 6 apples in a basket. You take away 4. How many apples do you have?
I thought it was gonna be a trading quiz.
I told you guys we're coming with the homework. This is math, 3rd grade math all over again.
You know what? I didn't finish college. I don't think I'm qualified for this. I only did 2 years. I have an associate.
Is this a trick question? Is there some sort of like?
It's almost too easy that you're like, wait, am I missing like something here?
You're like, carry the one.
Yeah, you start doing like some crazy. Dude, so sometimes I do math on my stream, like for various reasons, something comes up and I'm like doing math, and oh my God, it's so embarrassing what I do. Like basic questions, like someone's like, yeah, but like, what if we do like there's a consistency, like with the Tradeify, there's a consistency. Right. So someone's like, okay, if I made $3,000, what's 20%? I'm like trying to do it on the screen. And I'm like, oh, why did I put myself in this situation?
I'm pulling my calculator out for that.
Yeah, and then I tell people, you don't need to know math to be good at trading. People think it's related to numbers, like not at all.
I know, this is true.
This 5 minute might be breaking out though. Put upside.
Yeah, looks like we're trying.
All right, so do we want to go ahead and do the apples have a consistency rule? That's a good one. Yeah. So the answer, of course, is 4. If you read the question very carefully, guys, there are 6 apples in a basket. You take away 4. How many apples do you have? It's less a math question and more a reading comprehension question. So,
yeah, I was going to say 4. I was totally.
What do they say? The average American reads at a 6th grade level. I would imagine our viewers are a little smarter than that. So we'll credit you guys to like 7th or 8th grade.
Well, my true defense, I skipped 3rd grade and 4th grade and 6th grade here. I was in Italy, so maybe I came here in 9th grade, so that's my excuse.
Wow.
All right, here we go. 400 on deck here, team. Let's see how we react to that.
Yeah, there we go. We did push into that high here on this 5 minute, 399.50 on NASDAQ. ES is also still not above that pre-market high quite yet. That pre-market high is going to be sitting around the 922.75. I'm sorry, 922.75. If you want to look at the 923 level as well, if you're trading ES. For my options traders out there, we're about halfway through that SPX gap. Sitting at 909. 912 will be the close of that if you are looking to potentially see a form of resistance. Otherwise, like I said, guys, if we continue getting this move to the upside, we still have room. But we have some areas that I would still want us to clear. If we can clear this 400 and then 420 level on the NASDAQ, then we do have room, another 50 points up to this 480 level. So we did open this 5 minute pretty strongly. I just want to see us get above that 400 and we'll see where we go from there.
Potential retest of 380 could be interesting for long if we're going to continue higher and like go for 420 and 450.
Yeah, it's a good point. Do like that as well. All right.
This is probably, since we started this show, this is the day I'm like watching things as closely. First few shows, Miriam, we talked about this. We're trying to, where do we have stuff on our screens? Make sure we can see everything. Make sure we can talk to our team behind the scenes. Make sure we're talking to our guests, all that kind of stuff. But like this is the day like I finally zoned in. We got the live account all squared away for me yesterday. Everything's where I'm zoned in. I'm like, let's go, and it's just like I sit and watch. Movement without setups, which is the most frustrating thing to me. If we just barcode it out at the open like we've done a couple of times since we've been on the air, all right, that sucks. I'm not happy about it, but there just wasn't movement without a setup. This is the thing that makes me want to like throw things and put hands through monitors. I've never punched a monitor. I'm never going to, but it's like not for lack of wanting on days like today.
Yeah, definitely. Have you
How's
ever
it been the first week for you guys?
This is we launched last Thursday, so we had Thursday, Friday last week, and then Tuesday through Friday this week. So we're almost finished with week 2, and yet we haven't had a normal week yet. Next week will be our first normal week.
Yeah. And for everyone asking about Nick is enjoying his time on vacay. So he will be back next week as well. I know y'all miss him. I know y'all miss the white tees. And I represented today with another white top that I have. This is number 2 of 2 that I have in my.
Yeah, I have one nice white t-shirt. He got that on Wednesday. So that's it. I do laundry today. So we'll have it ready for him on Monday.
Absolutely. So Nick will be back next week, but it's been an interesting week so far, I think, for the market. We've gotten these massive moves, sometimes in the pre-market. Oftentimes in the pre-market. So not a lot of like Matt said, it's been movements, but not trades, like really great trades that are just like, oh yeah, I gotta take this, and it just feels kind of like we're right now just chopping around. I would like to see a move here, hopefully, by 8 o'clock or 8 o'clock my time. So it's going to be 11 o'clock on East Coast, I believe.
Jake says, poor guy was fired first week of the job. He was not. No. That was a planned absence. The Tradeify team has been working behind the scenes for a long time getting this show up and ready. But us as hosts, we only came on a few weeks ago. So it was kind of a whirlwind to get everything up and running. And so, prior commitments and all that. And so I'm sure there will be, I'm going to disappear for a few days in August for my wedding. I'm sure Miriam will have some things that take her away. That's the strength, I think, guys, where we have 3 really good hosts that 2 of us can pretty much handle it. But we definitely are eager to have Nick back on Monday and really looking forward to upping the hair quotient on this show. Our guests have thankfully filled that. But yeah, we've been 30%. Our hair's been down 30% this week, so we need to bring Nick back.
Absolutely.
Someone said 1 week and then goes vacation.
Yeah.
I gotta come.
It's already over us.
Man, you get vacation days after a couple days of work.
Yeah, I think he had this scheduled like 6 months ago, so it's a little tough. It's a international trip that was scheduled and paid for a few months ago, so kind of hard to get out of that.
Tradeify needs to go now. You guys gotta go now. Work vacation trip.
Ooh,
we've said that. We've said we want to do the show on location for a few days somewhere.
Yeah, that's true. Come Florida. Florida's a good spot to be at.
Oh
This
yeah.
5 minutes is being going sideways though. The 1 minutes have had a little bit of movements, but I'm looking at the five. That's why like I'm so big at like zooming out. The
Mm.
1 minute kind of look like they want to do something, but then I zoom out to the five. I'm like, well, one green candle, one red, one green, one red, one green, one red.
What is it that you have highlighted there on your
Oh, this
chart?
is on the 1 minute it was. So it's like looking kind of just at this area that we keep pretty much to be like all this. So price we've just been holding is if we do close under this 355, I might be interested in a short there. So we'll
Yeah.
see. Especially actually more now than after because we seem like we had failed this breakout. This is again the previous day closing price. Both in Q and ES have failed to break and kind of keep pushing this way. So now a potential trade the opposite direction interests me a lot more. So whenever we have a failed breakout, I feel like it becomes a higher probability setup.
Yeah, I agree with that. I very much agree with that.
And I'll zoom it out to the five to like kind of like look the overall direction still, and you know, don't get too excited on the 1 minute if the five is still going sideways.
Hmm.
We'll see if this next one starts kind of turning over a little bit too.
Yeah, ES kind of looks like it's getting a little bit more weaker than Nasdaq.
Yeah.
We had a stronger rejection on ES on the 5 minute than we did on Nasdaq. So that 350 area though is the same area I'm looking at with you. I want bulls to hold if there is more room to the upside. I think the line in the sand for me on bulls would be this 339 area. But right now, we'll see what we get, guys. We'll see what we get. Would you say that they're
jumping too early? Sorry, man.
Oh no, I was no, yeah, definitely don't jump anything too early. Are you when you're trading, are you looking at the 5 minute to enter, or are you looking at the 1 minute to enter?
I'm looking usually the 1 minute when I'm actually entering. Like if I'm looking at trade out, like if I'm like, hey, I'm about to enter, I'll try to quickly look at a 5 minute just for more added confirmation. Because like this 1 minute you could have maybe seen something, but then the 5 minutes been kind of going sideways. And I feel like whenever you're trying to trade a breakdown or like a reversal like this, you don't want to be like, if you're a little bit too early, you might get faked out. Let's say here you're trying to trade this breakout, you just enter it like hey, this 1 minute breakout, I'm just entering. You just bought the top, and like this type of trades like this make me so mad. So that's why I like zoom it out and I'm waiting for that candle close to get a confirmation. Sometimes you just don't get the best entry, which is, there's always the pros and cons, right? Like if you try not to get the bottom tick and the top tick, it's probably more risky. But then if you're waiting for confirmation, sometimes like today you could have missed the trade, or it's just not as good of an entry. So, with a day when there is like a little bit choppy, I haven't really made a clear move out of the range. We still haven't broken a pre-market high or low. I'm looking for the added confirmations versus just, entering like a bottom tick. And it's, on social media, especially, like I feel like kind of has a bad rep for this, but they'll post, like you'll see someone on Twitter, like, today was like choppy, but you'll see somebody on Twitter that's like entered a long off of like 235 right at the bottom and the exit exactly at the top. And then I feel like it gives trader the wrong expectations that like it's very normal to like catch the whole move exactly the top and the bottom. When in reality, it's like, hey, if you can catch like just this out of all these moves, like you're doing you're gonna be doing just fine.
Absolutely, yeah.
That's a great example. It's something I've said for years, is that the inexperienced trader, if you have an experienced trader and an inexperienced trader, and they both see a 100-point move coming, the inexperienced trader is going to try to get in at 501 and ride it to 599. Whereas the experienced trader is going to say, you know what, I'm going to wait for a little extra confirmation. I'm going to get in about 525, run it to 575, and then let the suckers fight over those last few points. I'm never going to be, as frustrating as not having entries on big movement can be, I'm always going to wait for a little extra confirmation, whether it's in the candles, whether it's in the Rankos or whatever I'm looking at or looking for. On days like today where I miss things, that's okay, because if I were to rush into something or not wait for confirmation, then we're going to have barcode days where I get chopped to death, right? Death by 1,000 paper cuts, taking $300, $400, $500 losers all day long. And I don't want to do that. So it's on sort of outlier days that you can really develop bad habits. If you chased moves today, you were probably profitable. Guess what? Try that on Monday. Try it on Tuesday. Trust me, as a reformed chaser, as I've said many times on the show, you're going to give that money back at some point.
Yeah, that's the yeah, it's one of those where you start building these bad habits and you start tricking your mind into thinking, "Oh, it worked this one time, so it's going to work again when I do it again." And it doesn't work like that. And that's the thing about trading is you have to be making these calculated risks, right? This is not if you want to gamble on the market, go to Vegas and put all your money on black. Like this is not the area to do that. So you have to make these calculated risks and understand, yeah, like I could have made money today, absolutely. There's always room for making money, but is it going to be sustainable over time? And that's just something you have to constantly ask yourself. Is this worth me putting on the risk and building that bad behavior? Does it even fit anything that I've set up for myself in terms of my strategy? And the thing is too, even sometimes, like I told you guys, like I'm a big trend line trader. There are certain times where my trade works out, right? I look at this trend, I'm like, oh my God, this would have worked out. But at the time, there was something telling me this wasn't really the trade to take. And some people will argue, intuitive trading is not trading. For me, I've been in the market long enough to feel when there are times that I want to take a trade, and when there are certain times that I'm like, you know what, I'm okay if this runs without me because I don't feel confident in this trade. And I think confidence is a huge factor when it comes to building your trading journey. So were there any things for you, Antonio, that helped with your confidence?
Honestly, it's just sticking to a couple setups that I'm taking every single day and seeing the results like over a long period of time. And I think when you start believing your system, that's when you can take trades with confidence. Like, hey, I know even if I lose over the week, over the month, I'll be fine, right? And then like I've had a couple losing streaks here and there. For example, I think it was like last September, I took 8 losses in a row, which is really, really rare for me to take.
Mm.
But after that, I'm pretty sure I had 90% win rate for the rest of the year. But like someone that might have not seen me, but they'd be like, wow, this guy sucks. And it's just the probability. Like, let's say you have a system that's like 60% profitable, right? The probability is that it's not gonna be every win, loss, win, loss. It's usually 3 wins, maybe 2 losses. Maybe you catch 5 losses in a row, then you catch 6 wins in a row. Like the way that probability works and percentile works, it's not like, let's say you have 70% win rate. It's not always 7 wins, 3 losses, 7 wins, 3 losses. It's random. And, within that, you'll have a losing streak and a winning streak at the same time. So like a lot of people will have a couple bad days and change up their strategy and like, okay, my strategy doesn't work, let me change it all up. And I feel like they're just setting themselves back even more, by not building that trust in themselves. You just always gotta have faith that your setups will work.
Yeah, that's a good point. Absolutely.
And I did want to say, we mentioned Matt was mentioning how like, try that Monday, try that Tuesday, if chasing will work. Another really good, because you'll work one day and they'll think it works forever. Another really good point on that is when it comes to the moving stop losses or averaging down on losers. People will like be in a losing trade, they'll average down on it, and then they'll go break even in green, and they'll think they can always do that. But then when it doesn't go your way, they'll blow up your whole account, and it's like a really, really bad habit to do. Or moving down like your stop losses too much, where it's like, okay, one time you'll save your account, but more often than not, when you won't save you'll lose everything. And now I'm guilty of that when I first started trading as much as anybody.
Yeah. It
So,
really can take one trade.
Gaines, before we kind of start to put a bow on everything, do our final giveaway, tell everyone where they can find you.
All platform, Big Gains Club, my other YouTube channel, I'm tweeting Russo. So yeah, come say hi, DM me if you want to say hi. What I'm mostly active on is my Instagram. That's where I have my biggest following. Hopefully we can get 300,000 followers by next month or something. I think I'm like 286 or something.
Let's go.
Let's get, I don't know if there's 14,000 people in here, but share to somebody. So yeah.
That's awesome. Killing it. Wait, were you always on Instagram? When did you start?
No, it's actually a funny story. So COVID happened. I'd already been full-time trading by then. And my girlfriend, she was pregnant, and she was like, we were just sitting at home. It was California because we weren't doing anything. And she was like, you should upload on TikTok. Like, because people always ask about trading, friends and family. I had never had any social media. And I'm like, I'm not uploading on that TikTok. Like kids are dancing. And like, especially at the time. Now I feel like TikTok's much better, but like in 2020 it was rough. And she's like, oh, like Instagram is coming out with like their own version of TikTok, like Instagram Reels. You can just make content about trading. And I was really bored, so I was like, whatever, I'll just do it. And then I started making some, like my first viral content was like talking about like Biden versus Trump, like which stocks to buy. Biden becomes president, and like people would just fight in the comments, and like I'm pretty sure like 6 million views. And I was one of the first like trading people on like Instagram Reels. And then you know, like about August of like 2020, I think I had like 3,000 followers, something like that. And then it just kept growing, and it was actually like a lot of fun. And you know, trading is like pretty boring by yourself, so like talking to people and like posting about it, I feel like you know, makes it a little more interesting. It gives me like something else to do. I was like, as good, and I don't know if it's like good or not, but like I'm kind of get bored through my day. Like I'll trade, and then it's like I'll go to the gym, and it's like, oh, like what else can I do? Like, you know, like so it gives me something else to do.
That is a good point. I mean, I was gonna ask you too. Is that what do you do like?
Yeah,
for enjoyment.
That's why I travel so much. Now I'm like my routine now. It's like when I'm at home, at least it's trade till like 11. And I'll go to the gym 11:30, 12. Then I'll go pick up my son from school. I'll take him like, you know, where he's doing swimming or something else. Sometimes I'll go to the gym again, and he does like they have like a kids club. He loves to go there too. And then you know I'll make some content. I want to say I'm really busy, but the reality is like I'm not. So that's why I try to find hobbies and stuff. I'm like in a soccer league and like a basketball league.
Nice.
You know, the truth of being in trading is like it's pretty overall, I will say, boring. Not easy, but I do think it's a somewhat overall like a pretty boring job for people. At least
Well,
for me.
I think that's a good thing. That's how you know you're doing it right? It's not supposed
big
to.
time.
Yeah, it's not supposed to give you like the adrenaline rush all the time. Like that's when you know you need to cut back or you know, figure out something that'll actually work for you, because really in reality trading's supposed to be boring, guys. If you're doing
And it's
it right.
easy for you guys. You guys are running a show about trading, and it's inherently boring. So you guys
Yeah,
a lot
you
of
can
pressure
see
on
here,
YouTube
guys.
to make it really fun.
Oh, it's not
like,
that
where's
bad.
the damn trades? We should be doing trade at all times with people, you know?
Yeah, we only have to watch our charts, watch 2 different chats, make sure we're looking at the camera every now and then, try to look over here, switch over to this, check, listen to somebody in our ear, go, no, it's not that bad. No, it's actually really fun. It's you know, it is what it is. Anytime we can get out there and get some good knowledge to people, and I've got a big summation of the guests for this week. I'm going to do in a few minutes, guys, when we when Big Gains departs from us. But we've got one giveaway that we need to do. So we are going to do code GP in the chat. So GP, and then Antonio, we're going to ask you to pick the winner. I don't know if you have the chat up there. The YouTube
I have it on my
chat.
phone.
Okay, so we're going to let everyone throw
gonna pick a
GP
code?
in there. Give them about 30 seconds, then maybe just kind of scroll up and down in the chat and pick a random winner for us.
Let's go, guys.
We're going to say 20 seconds. You guys get 20 more seconds to get that in. That gets all the people that are maybe have a little bit of a lag going on. Boy, we just cannot break out of this tiny little zone all of a sudden.
We've rejected
360 to 390 there.
Oh yeah, big rejection here coming in.
There's a little golden pocket. I wanted GP. Look, I got excited. I drew this fib out, and we're kind of rejecting it out 3 times.
We'll get those things off the chart, and maybe we'll get through them.
Yeah, we tried for a little bit here, but also the volume wasn't really coming in too hot. Well, actually, on the 1 minute, looks good.
All right, so get in that mess of GPs there, Antonio. Give us a winner.
Okay, I'm gonna scroll up and down. So it's
all right, stop the GPs now, guy. The GPs are done.
Giveaway is closed.
Let's do.
How are you picking?
He doesn't have a last name, but Jake. He's just Jake, and it's an orange J. He seemed very excited with a ton of exclamation points. So.
Okay, Jake with an orange J.
Orange J.
All right, stop spamming the chat, guys.
Shout out to him. Shout out to everybody. And I purposely.
Jake, where are you at? There he is.
There he is. Nice.
Yeah, I was trying to say, I
Jake.
recognized some names, and I didn't pick you guys on purpose because I like somebody new. Somebody I don't
All right,
know.
Jake, make sure you have your email address in your YouTube description, and we will be reaching out.
Congratulations.
No pressure, only 6 figures in payouts, or
yeah.
never invited again on this thing.
Yeah, there you go. All right, so Big Gains, we really appreciate having you, man. Anything you'd like to say on your way out here?
No, I just appreciate you guys. It's a lot of fun. I wish we got a trade in, but transaction maybe wasn't the complete best. Maybe hopefully
Get below VWAP, we might have something here.
Absolutely.
You know, as soon as you leave, we're going to get some really good
stuff.
stuff.
Oh, yeah, totally. That's usually how it goes. Or like you end the stream and it's like the most perfect price action after that. That's what it was like a couple of weeks ago. Like the morning session was awful, and then like the afternoon session was just like perfect.
Yeah, that's kind of something I mentioned too. It's like we've been getting these moves later on. But either way, you know, it was amazing talking to you, and we just appreciate you being here. I know the chat loved you. You guys give it up for Antonio for being here, dropping the heat and the knowledge. You know, show him some love. Show him some love.
Thank you guys. I appreciate the chat. Appreciate everybody. I appreciate you guys. Tradeify team.
All right.
And everybody here.
Follow him on all his socials.
Yep.
Big Gains Club on every social media platform, especially Instagram is where he says he posts the most content. So get over to the gram and make sure you subscribe to his page. So thanks again, Big Gains. We appreciate you, man. We will definitely have you back at some point.
Oh yeah, we got to get a trade in next time.
I gotta get a trade in. Like I close my eyes and flip a coin, take a trade out. Like, you know, the second time you gotta take a trade. But yeah,
I love it. I love it.
At least we got to know each other. It was fun. We got to talk.
Thank you. Have a great rest of your day.
You too, guys. Have a good weekend.
Bye.
Wow. So, Miriam, it has been a week. We have had 4 shows and 4 outstanding guests. Like, let's look at the charts again really quickly, just kind of see where we're at. We were pulling in a little bit. Now, again, we seem to be moving right back in this area. But as long as we have this up, Miriam, I got a couple of things I'm still rolling around in my head that I want to kind of finalize here, but all these guests as a whole, like what are some common themes that you notice that maybe our viewers can take away to help them be successful?
Yeah, I mean, kind of like we mentioned earlier, we've had such a range of different traders that have come on here. You know, we've had, obviously Antonio just came on, he trades the golden pocket. We had Brian yesterday, who is a fair value gap trader. You know, Jake trades the support and resistance. So we had a different slew and range of trading styles. But one of the common things that I've really noticed is this ability to just stay laser focused and congruent with the type of trader that they have developed for themselves. And whatever that looks like for them is, you know, a range of just being disciplined, of being resilient, of understanding like what their actual pain points are, and knowing that that is not something that limits them. That's actually something that empowers them. And so for me, you know, one of the biggest things is just, if you're struggling as a trader right now, I highly encourage you to really look deep into yourself. I say this all the time, but trading really teaches you a lot about yourself in more ways than any other career that I can imagine. And so, you know, if you can identify what those pain points are for you, you know, we've talked about, you know, Matt, for you, that's, you know, being a chaser, right? Like there are certain things that you had to put into place in order to stop doing that. And so, a lot of that is just, again, it comes down to that discipline and empowering yourself to not take it as a failure, but really understand, like, if this is something that you want to take seriously and treat as another source of income, or your potentially, you know, your main source of income, you have to take it seriously. And that starts with understanding and doing the inner work for yourself. So I don't know if that kind of echoes what you took away from that.
Yeah, I'm going to wait just a second to kind of do a little bit of my recap, because I'm hearing behind the scenes, we've got a leaderboard that we're going to start putting up on a day-to-day basis of the live, I believe it's the live traders here at Tradeify. So as soon as we're behind, we got the guys behind the scenes, as soon as they're ready, go ahead and throw that up there. And then I'll sum up one thing that jumped out right now. Specifically, Miriam, the amount of trades that they take, right? Like I when I first got in the futures, I was like a lot of people, making a lot of trades. You know, honestly, the more traders I talk to that are more successful, you see them in that nice sweet, like 2 to 5 trades a day space, right? And maybe in the chat, guys, you can put what's your average trades per day? And if you don't know what that is, guys, I really have to question your journaling capabilities and what you're looking at. You should kind of know that off the top of your head, approximate, right? But yeah, let me know how many trades on average that you guys take, because one of the things I've noticed is, going back to Rips, to Rakes, to Brian Stonk, to Antonio, like, we had some trades. There were some, but Brian Stonk told you during his 2-hour afternoon stream, he's looking for one trade. And sometimes he doesn't even get that. So he's looking for one trade. You've seen us on this stream, and obviously, unfortunately, just haven't had a ton, within our setups. But, Miriam will take 1 or 2 trades. I have taken 1 or 2 trades. Actually, just one on 2 separate days. So honestly, guys, and I know from people I've talked to, especially in this industry, that there's outliers. There's people that trade 50, 60 times a day that are successful, but by and large, the more trades you make, the less chance you have of being consistently profitable. There's more opportunities for things to go wrong. Yes, more opportunities for things to go right as well. But guys, I just can't tell you the amount of traders that I've met over the years, successful futures day traders, that are way more in that 3 to 5 trades a day or even less. And that's something, Miriam, that has really jumped out to me this week, is we haven't had anybody on stream who's just like, I'm trading here, I'm getting in here, I'm out here. Okay, I took my 3 points here, going over here, that are auctioneer trading, as I call it. And boy, I really hope that's been an eye opener for some people.
Yeah, absolutely. So it looks like we're gonna
leaderboard up.
Yeah, let's see what the leaderboard's looking like. All right, here's our top 10 live funded traders for this year. And if you guys are having any trouble seeing the stream, make sure that your resolution is high on your monitors or your phones if you're on your phones. But it's looking like we got a good lineup here. So you want to read some of that off for us, Matt?
If I could, sure. It's a little blurry on the thing. Hold on just a second here. Okay, I got it zoomed in now. So we are looking like, hold on, I'm gonna expand my window so I can read all this. Moretta S coming in at 171K.
Nice.
This is for taking 16 in live payouts, 70,000 in live payouts to PW, 54,000 in live payouts to Jake M. That may be somebody we know. Boy, this has been really, really good year for some of these people so far. Guys, make sure you're paying yourself along the way. Winning rates in trades. This is really nice, guys. And one thing you see, so Victor is a little bit of an outlier here, up at 72%. But guys, we talk about that there's people that, keep that winning percentage in the 50 to 60 range. And look at Muhammad, 39%, probably coming in at a very high risk reward. Again, guys, it just goes to show there's so many different ways and strategies and methodologies to make money. But I can promise you the people on this list have stuck to their setup, stuck to their mentality, and have done very well for themselves. Average winning trades aren't excessive. Days live here. Wow, this is a pretty impressive list, guys. So a huge congratulations to the traders that are on this list, and I can't wait to see as we continue to track everybody.
Yeah, and it's cool too to see, you don't have to be always trading like the minis. I mean, we got some micro traders in here too that are consistently winning and making good money. So don't let that deter you from trading micros or making these smaller gains.
Oh, we got Chad saying, I will be on that list in the next 4 months.
Let's
fucking
go.
love that. That's outstanding. Love that confidence, man.
I love that.
But yeah, also keep in mind, guys, and the leaderboards are fun. I think it's awesome to see the success of other people. But keep in mind, guys, you're not competing with anyone on that list. The only person you're competing with is yourself. Right. And that's something that I know this space. And one of the reasons, guys, you don't see us like going completely off on this or that or all these other things, or I made this much of it. Guys, this really is a marathon. It's not a sprint, right? Being successful for 2 or 3 months is great. Being successful for 2 or 3 years or 2 or 3 decades, that's where you change lives, right? Having a really, really nice month, a 30, 50K month, that can change your life for a few months. But to have 10K, 20K months every month, that's where you truly change your life over the long term. So, but it's gonna take you time to get there. My guess is, there's only a few names I recognize on that list, and obviously for confidentiality, we're not, specifically identifying individuals. But guys, every one of those people has probably taken a few years to get good at trading, right? I like I said, maybe there's somebody out there who had immediate success in trading and hasn't looked back. I'm just saying I've never met that person. All right. And some people struggle for a couple weeks, couple months, couple years, whatever. But just remind you guys, you're competing with yourselves, and all you're trying to do is make yourself better. So celebrate, and first of all, celebrate the success of all retail traders, everybody on that list, because we're all on the same team. There's nothing, I've seen at least 4 people point out in the chat that there's not a lot of drama on this show, and that's exactly right. People are getting the pissing matches over with other retail traders. Like, I don't even know what you're doing. It's all us against the institutions, right? Against the algos, against the bots. We're all on the same team. We're all team retail. We're all trying to change our lives. So when you see another retail trader having some success, pat them on the back, say that's awesome. Hey, can you give me a hand? Right. So we're all on the same team. Let's keep that mentality. You're always going to see that talked about on this show. Miriam and I joke about creating some fake drama on this show from time to time. And Nick, when he's back, but honestly, guys, we're just trying to bring you some really good knowledge. We're trying to lead by example in our trading. Boy, Miriam, it wouldn't be a Tradeify TV day without at least an hour of barcode trading. What is this?
Yeah,
exactly. Drive me
exactly.
nuts. I was sitting there eyeing up. I was like, okay, breakout for a short breakdown, or breakout for a long breakdown for a short. I had a couple of levels marked, and now it just wants to. This is bullshit.
I know.
I'm so glad it's Friday. I'm ready. I'm ready for. I'm gonna miss the show. I'm gonna miss with you and Nick until Monday. But man, it's.
Are you gonna miss me though? I mean, I know you're gonna miss railing on me, but it's.
I will. If I cut my lawn this week, I will think of you when I put grass clippings in it. I'll put grass clippings in a cup with some water, and I'll watch it on Twitter. I'll put that out there. But no, I do. This may be a little unmanly to say. I kind of miss Nick, man. I really. We need our full team back.
I agree. I agree.
The three amigos, as it were. We need all 3 of us back.
Eminem.
Hey, Nick's in the chat. He says we're gonna catch some 100-point Rippers team. Yeah,
Let's go.
Nick, Mr. White T will be back with us on Monday. Any guests or anything we have? Miriam. I'm pretty convinced we could probably convince our CEO to make an appearance or 2 next week.
I think so. I think he can definitely, show us some golden pocket moves. That's something that I'll always remember from our first stream. Brett, missing out on his own trade, but making everyone else money. So,
and yet somehow still shit talking everybody along the way. So.
Exactly. No, it's going to be a fun week. Like Matt said earlier, this is our 2nd week coming on Tradeify TV. So we appreciate all of you guys for really, being here with us and, spending your mornings with us and showing us love. And we really, really appreciate that. So, if there's anyone that that would gain value from the stream, please help us by sharing the stream and sharing this channel and making sure that, you're showing us love too. We definitely are able to get our names out there by word of mouth when you guys help us out. So we want to provide you value every single morning. And if there's anything that you guys want to hear from us, feel free to reach out to us on our Twitters, on our Instagrams. We'll drop our ads here in a bit here, but I'm looking at the market as well as we're kind of moving to this downside
now
here.
We're finally getting down a little bit. Now, hopefully in these last few minutes here, we can catch a little hitch and go trade down here. I'd really like that. So in the chat, guys, as we're kind of watching and maybe hopefully getting a setup here, I want you to tell me what is the thing you learned most from our guests this week. So we had Rips on Tuesday, we had Rakes on Wednesday, we had Brian Stonk yesterday, and of course, Big Gains Club today. So one thing, you can list a few if you'd like, but what's one thing over the last 4 days that you guys have learned from some of our guests? Patience. Yes, that's a good one. Patient. Already a couple of patience.
Patience is a good one. Trust your process.
Yeah, and for those of us guys, we always appreciate the favorable comparisons to some of our competition. But the best thing you can do for us is go out there and go tell people about this show, right? And because we don't have any drama, we don't have any bullshit. We're only we're not taking trades for the sake of taking trades. We're taking trades because we have a valid setup. We're bringing in guests that'll just sit here and drop some knowledge for you, even when the markets are just doing their barcode thing, right? So word of mouth is the most power. It's guys, one word of mouth means more than 100 advertising dollars. And we're trying to build this as organically as possible. So make sure you follow us on social. It is Friday again. Sometime in the next couple of hours, I might go live for Front Porch Friday. But yeah, I'll tell you, Mary, I'm looking forward to next week. We get 5 shows. Be the first. It's been nice to rev up a little bit as we've all been adjusting our morning routines, which I'm a big believer in. I kind of feel like today is maybe like finally like, okay, this is my routine now. And then we take 2 days off, of course. So next week we get 5 shows. I believe Nick is with us for the first 4. I think he has next Friday off for personal reasons as well. But yeah, I'm looking forward to a full week of shows, and let's just kill these markets.
Oh yeah, and we got a great week highlighted for you guys. We're gonna drop the guest list next week. Actually, I don't know if we have it ready yet, but we have some great guests for you guys. We also have our trading coach coming on, Coach Tank.
Coach
if you guys
Tank!
don't know already. Yep, give it up for Coach Tank. I don't know if we have a picture we can throw up of him right now, Drew, but you know, we have Coach Tank, and if you guys don't know who Coach Tank is, he's our trader psychologist. So big, huge resource to our funded traders on Tradeify. If you haven't utilized him already, I know some of you guys have, and he's just a value of knowledge. And I know I love his British accent, just elevates things to another level. So if you guys haven't utilized him yet, he's going to be on our show next week, I believe on Thursday, but we'll drop the official game plan for next week later.
The only question I have for him, or not for him, but what I'm wondering about, Miriam, do you think he's fixed his top buttons yet?
That'll be something we have to ask him. I hope he actually doesn't have them.
Well, if he's on camera, then we won't have to ask him. We'll know right away.
We'll just see it, you know. He'll probably just come with a white tee anyway, so we'll see.
I don't know. I think he's big on the buttoned-up collared shirts. I don't think I've seen him in anything else.
This is true.
Dude's just dapper as hell, man. Like he comes at you with that like, you know, the dapper presentation and the very like soft British accent, man. I'll listen. He could say anything. I don't care how crazy it is. I'm gonna listen to it with that. So
he showed up during our photo shoot with just showing all of us up. I mean, even as a woman, I'm like, I don't even know if I could top that. Like, he had his whole ensemble with the shoes and the little, you know, handkerchief. It was a whole thing, but that's how he does it. And, you know, he definitely is, he's all business. So you guys don't want to miss his segment when he comes on next week. I'm already like, I'm getting the goosebumps just thinking about the kind of conversation we're going to have.
You know, if there's one word that I would use to describe Coach Tank, and it's one that I think probably makes him such a good trading coach, and that's unbothered. Like, it's just completely unbothered. Like, I am here. I am what I am. F everything else and everybody else that's going on around me. I'm here. You know,
I love it. Yeah.
It was great. It was great. It was really great to have share a few meals with everybody in the team and all that. I think that really helped us kind of come together a little earlier. So, Miriam, what have you taken away from our guests over the past 4 days?
Yeah, I mean, I kind of same thing that I had mentioned earlier. It's just, you know, you gotta be ready for the markets and make sure that you have your game plan. One thing I did kind of want to mention on the charts here, as we're literally getting this breakdown here below VWAP. You know, one of the things that you want to look at when you're trading on, especially Friday, is this is the range that we've kind of just been stuck in. So
I got a sell stop in, Miriam, here at 33. I'm going to set that right at excuse me. It's in at 32.25. I'm not going to change it. All right, so I am filled 5 micros. 5 micros is the position size. We're going to set our stop probably about this high a candle, so about 20 handles. I'm going to play this for a move down to the -1 standard deviation band here. So approximately 309. If we break down below 315, I will adjust my stop to break even. Actually, I say the top of this candle, I will probably stop out at the 50 level if we get up there, maybe a little bit above. Here, I'll probably set my stop. I'm going to set my stop at 53.
All right, guys, we're taking a trade. We're in it.
I will say this has to work in the next minute. If we're just farting around at the 25 to 30 level in about 60 seconds, I may consider exiting the position. We need a push down here.
Yeah. Both ES and Nasdaq are below their VWAPs right now. You know, on the 2-minute and the 5-minute, we're sitting here, and you know, I want to see where this 5-minute is going to close here in about less than 2 minutes here. So we'll see. Hopefully we get this move down. And we can end Friday on a high note. All right, let's see.
All right, a push to 20. I'm going to drop my stop probably down to about 40. So I'm not going to be break even, but I'm going to take some risk off the table at that point. Got to break 20 though.
Let's go, guys. And if you guys have any questions for us while Matt is in this trade, feel free to drop it in the chat. Like I said, you're not going to hear from us until next Monday. We're getting this move down here for you.
All right, there's a 20 break, moving my stop to 40.
Nice.
So worst case scenario, I'd be out probably, what, about 70, 80 bucks at this point. So I've taken a lot of risk off. I'm going to leave the stop where it is.
That's so even Nick is saying we got you with being a bear today. Was that your first short in like what, 25 years?
How old do you think I am? I keep expecting y'all to ask me about the 87 flash crash. I was bored.
Do you remember like the 1930s depression?
Oh, you know what? Fuck you. No. I'm not going to end Friday with hostility.
You know what? Then you're talking to the wrong host here. I love it. This looks good for you though. I like this move here.
Yeah, we need one more pulse down, and I was hoping to get it. I was hoping for the candle to close below 320. I actually, as I sit here right now, I think I have a greater chance of getting stopped out than hitting the profit target. But the fact, again, guys, watch us as we manage these trades. One of the things Miriam's done a great job, not only with hitting the profits, is talking through managing the trade and what you're looking for on a given moment. Don't be one of the mistakes I made early in my career. I would move stops around a lot. And for example, if I'd moved my stop to break even, I'm out of the trade at this point because we just tapped it. Now, as it stands, it's looking like I'm going to stop out, but that's okay because I made that initial adjustment. Got a decent amount of profit and ended up adjusting my stop, because if we break through 40, 50 is probably on deck. We're probably getting back above VWAP at that point. And so I've saved myself a little money. Managing trades, guys, once you're in them is just one of the skills that is just so valuable in trading that, quite frankly, again, just doesn't get talked about a lot.
Absolutely, yeah. No, this is good. I mean, even right now, I'm looking at this, and to your point too, I mean, VWAP and the 9 EMA on NASDAQ are sitting at this 340 area, 342. I mean, it could possibly make a wick above that to 350, but we are still rejecting those areas. So, you know, we could have some room to the downside here, potentially even reaching down to the lows. So we'll see what we get here.
Yeah, so 310 is a balance area on my Sierra charts, and it's also the -1 standard deviation. So I still tend to think we are going to be testing that area in the next 5 to 15 minutes. Obviously I want that area tested before 340 is tested as well. So
yeah, one thing someone also mentioned in the chat is careful of the 900 on ES, that psych level. That is a level that I would also hope for us to break if I am short as well, because, you know, right now we're kind of just holding it. But unless we see a break there, I think, you know, it could be a nice break if we get that crossover 900 on ES.
Yeah, I would tend to think, so I actually want this trade to prolong right now. I think if I'm still in this trade at the close of this candle in 245, I'm feeling pretty good about it. I think if I'm going to get taken out at the 340 level, it's going to be on this candle. The bulls have to counter right now. If they don't counter on this candle, it's going to be tough. But yeah, I think it's going to go up and get me right here. That's okay. I'm not adjusting my stop.
Absolutely.
I gave myself a little initial room. One of the things, guys, when I have a trade go in my direction, this was about not quite 2/3 of the way to my profit. Okay, so I'm out at that point. The total loss is 93.60. So kept my position size small, adjusted it. So instead of taking maybe about a $200 winner, it's going to be a 93.60 loss. So we can get that updated as well for transparency's sake. We just got a candle. We got a big candle and we just negated it. So I will take that trade 10 out of 10 times, guys. And I'm very happy with how I managed it, because again, look, my initial stop would have gotten taken out. So I saved myself 10 points. It's why I am an advocate, guys, of consistently, actively managing your trades. Doesn't mean every tick you adjust your stop or your profit target, etc. But it does mean that when you see some profit, you can't let that thing eat you up. So
absolutely. No, give it up for Matt, guys. This was really great execution. I mean, it's the thing is like, you don't have to make money for a trade to be a good trade. Like executing your trade in a, you know, a solid way, like Matt just did. I mean, he knew what he was getting into. He knew what his stop was going to be. You know, he didn't let, you know, something go at a big loss, right? He didn't just like feed into this, oh, but it has to work out sort of mentality. And that's something that's going to really help you a lot in your trading. So give it up for Matt. I mean, this was just awesome, just analysis. And, you know, it's something, again, if he's going to take this trade multiple times, you know, just because it didn't work out this time doesn't mean the next time he takes it, it won't work out. So nothing is 100% in trading. And that's just something you know, you just gotta understand. So great trade management.
My 3-year winning percentage is 58%, which means there is 42% of the time I'm taking a loss. And how you take those losses is important. Guys, this was the live account that Tradeify gave us. It's $93. Like that's basically break even. I count $50 winners as break even trades, right? So no, anytime you can get out with you know, again, what is our first job as traders? I mean, we're here to make money, but our first job is to preserve your capital. So if you're somebody who's taking big losses, like that was a 5 micro position, I shouldn't be taking a $300, $400, $500 loss on that. There's no excuse to be doing that, right? And so recognizing changes when you're in trades, and like I said, that I got in on a big candle down. The very next, again, something happened we hadn't seen happen yet today, right? A big strong bearish candle followed by a bullish candle. We also haven't seen a big bullish candle followed immediately by a bearish candle, except for right before the open. So again, if I'm in a situation where something needs to happen that hasn't happened yet today for me to get stopped out of a trade, I'm okay with that. And sometimes it happens. Overall, though, Miriam, you carried us this week. Hope your back's not hurting. But you did a great job with the trading this week. Our house accounts are very much up. I can't wait to build all of them with you guys, and especially when Nick comes back next week. So we are at about 5 minutes left. Why don't I kind of sum up a little bit this week, and then Miriam, I'll let you take us home.
All right, awesome.
So again, guys, I want to emphasize, if you missed any of the interviews this week with our traders, I highly encourage you to go back and watch them, right? It's total of probably about 4.5 to 5 hours of content. Make that a priority this weekend if you missed any of it, because you're sitting there with, again, 4 traders. If, you know, Miriam had a great week. Forget us for a week, for a minute here. 4 traders, 4 different styles, 4 different things they're looking at, 4 different setups, and boom. All 4 successful. I mean, all 4 people are verified to have gotten a lot of payouts from a lot of different places. So 4 successful traders, 4 different styles, 4 ways they manage things. That needs to be a message to you guys. You don't try to be Rips. Don't try to be Rakes. Don't try to be me. Don't try to be Miriam. Don't try to be anybody. Be yourself. Okay, but learn from us and learn how to identify. Rips probably is. I know he was the first of the week, but had my favorite part of this week where he talked about he had to learn who he was as a trader and the things that really mess with his head, right? And know to stay away from those. Losses don't affect me, guys. They really don't. It's when I sit and make a green week red, or I make a green day red. That's where the things that really mess with my head. So maybe your homework assignment for this weekend, before we come back to our first full week, and Nick is back next on Monday, is really say, okay, when I'm tilting, what are the things like, okay, tilting is step 5. What are 1 through 4, the things that I'm doing that don't allow me to be successful? So that's kind of what I want to sum up with this week. Miriam, it's been fun. It's been fun these last few days. I think we've done a pretty good job. Thankfully, we've had some great guests to be with us. Why don't you? I do understand, as I'm seeing here. Why don't you let them know who we have coming as guests next week, and then go ahead and take us out.
Yeah, absolutely. So I just got word that we're going to have Tanya Trades next week. We're going to have her come on, and then we're going to have the COO of Tradeify TV, also Gandalf. If you guys don't know already, he's also going to be showing up along with other potential guests that are going to be announced later in the week. So that being said, guys, I mean, to echo what Matt said, we just had an amazing cast of guests this week. I know we had a little bit of a shorter week, and some crazy movements happening in the market overall. But, you know, in general, just always stick to your plan. Always make sure that you know what you're getting into. You know, like I said so many times, trading will teach you so much about yourself. And it involves doing that inner work with yourself. So I'm just going to end it off here. You know, make sure that you guys show gratitude for your life, for things in your life. Show gratitude for waking up this morning, for being an able-bodied person and able to even put on trades and become a trader. That is such a huge, you know, thing that I think we all take for granted here and there. So make sure that you show gratitude for that and tell someone that you love them. I mean, I know Brett was trying to take my line earlier, but I'm going to say it again. Make sure that you tell someone you love them, give someone a hug, send someone a gratitude text, because trading is not just all about making money. It's about showing love and being able to live the life that makes you feel fulfilled and, you know, being just with the loved ones that you have in your life. So enjoy your weekend, everyone. We're going to see you back again next week. We're going to have Nick back on the show. We're going to have Eminem back on in full gear. So make sure that you are on with us, 8:30 Eastern. Don't miss it. We will see you then.
Have a good weekend, everyone.